We are late, but we're actually early. We were moving the stream back to 7:30 p.m. GMT, as we said last week, but just had some technical stuff as usual at the start of the stream, and yeah, now we're here. We've got Spoon as always, and Bill as well. Oh my, because I'm now very stressed out about being late while trying to be early.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, but it makes... Hey, Scrum. But it gives me anxiety anyway. So you know what I thought would it reduce? Well, I probably won't reduce my anxiety. Is let's play Ethno Guesser. I thought we would start out the stream with a game. How about that? Of course, we're going to be talking about the tariffs
as quickly as possible.
I say maybe we should wait until half an hour or more into this before we start going down this road.
Really? Okay. I'll start out with some slop then. Of course, we will be talking about the tariffs. That is the main topic of the evening, but I've set it for the end then because that's the vast majority of it. Before then, I have a lot of just abject lunacy as per usual. Some resolutions on old news stories, specifically the Signal scandal and the Tranifesto. Some general tiresome
the shooter, the
people
shooter
and things.
From like fucking years ago?
Yes.
There's new info on that? By the way, you
guys
tell me what this
more of it came out, yeah. I can't hear anything.
Doesn't come through. Same as my tumble dryer in the background. You can't hear it.
Nice.
Oh,
good.
Okay.
Yeah, the Tranifesto has come out. More of it.
There's more of it. Oh God, why?
So well, because remember some of it was redacted, so I think all of it has now come out. Then there's just a lot of tiresome things and people. Got some general slop and other topics, and then yes, it's the tariffs. So which is the big news story of the week. Obviously.
Please read that $5, that €5 super chat.
Oh. Whoop-de-doo-doo. Sven for €5 says, Hello Goyam. I wanted to donate €30 I obtained from buying the dip, while I gained 30% profit. So a €10 loss. So €10 is an acceptable loss. I totally screwed that up. I get the reference though. Thank you, Sven. Yeah. I ruined it.
And how much does he donate?
I wanted to donate $30 I obtained from the buying the dip, where I gained 30% profit. So $10 is an acceptable loss.
He donates €5. Unfortunately, your name isn't Rabbi. What was it? Gold von Hein von Sheckelstein.
Scheckelblatt.
Like Scheckelblatt, something like that. Yeah.
It's Hein von Goldstein Scheckelblatt.
Yeah. Yeah. Something to that effect. Okay.
God bless.
Let's start out with something funny, shall we?
Oh,
At least
God.
somewhat funny. Just a little, like, it's also because, like I said, I'm stressed out. I thought we could play Ethno Guesser, but I agree that was probably not the way to start the stream. This one's pretty funny, though.
Move.
Tell me when you got the screen up.
I wanted to make the screen proper. I don't know why it's like this all of a sudden.
Do you have it up, though?
Yeah. Looks fine to me.
Okie dokie. Let's see this interaction. This is,
There we go. Now it looks better.
AG Secretary Rollins, on Jake Tapper. He has an interesting thing to say here.
You've got 2 days of data. Everyone, especially on your side, on the left, is freaking out.
I'm not on the left.
But at the end of the day, listen, this whole concept... All right, Jake, thank you. This whole concept is about rebuilding an American economy around American good. You've got 2 days of data.
Absolutely.
Hit bro with the okay, Jan.
Okay, it was really hit him with the okay, Jan. Okay, Jake. Just for people who are not aware, for some reason... You've never encountered this lunatic before.
Your side on the left is freaking
I'm not
out.
on the left. Is it possible that the Republican Party is now the party of deranged bigots? Do you think it's racist to vote for President Trump in 2020? A Republican from Florida who lost his legs, by the way, fighting for democracy abroad.
I know.
Although,
so bigot is a derogatory term to refer to Norman.
It's a racial slur for Norman people.
There you go. So that is actually Bill's term. Then only he can say bigot.
I don't know about his commitment to it here in the United States. We go through this every single time Republicans control the House. You guys can't pass legislation. You can't.
God, that's true. There we go. Aiden's pre-AI cadence.
But that's a good thing. Like if you can get government to not pass anything and just do fuck all.
Yeah, but they're not actually doing that.
That would objectively be a better government than the one you have now.
As per usual. Sure, and as per usual, the conservatives don't do fucking anything. Or they do things that seem incredibly misguided and confused, as we're going to look through some of the tariff stuff, which just seems
fucking
mismanaged. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's certainly R-worded.
I had to listen to it because we were talking about it before the show started, because I haven't really been paying attention to the tariff thing, because I know the tariff thing is very, very old. It's like an old American strategy from like the early, I think, late 1800s, early 1900s. And obviously the America of the late 1800s is not the same as the America today. I mean, America was not a world superpower in the 1800s. Yeah, exactly. And now it's beefy with an army. And it's not the same fucking thing. And when I was listening to Dan and AA discuss what trade deficits
I'm glad we both watched that. Then.
Yeah,
I was comments on it
I was listening to him thinking, well, this is what trade tariffs. This is what trade deficits are. This is what Trump wants to. This has nothing to do with America's economy. Like, what the fucking hell is he doing?
No. This is a display of force and power.
But it's not going to make America better.
No.
No.
Probably not longitudinally.
No, that's still like, what? How is he? What?
Well, it's certainly not going to move industry back to the U.S. because we've already seen what the purpose of it was, which is to get the U.S. better deals. And to be fair, it does do that. It appears to be from what.
Yeah, but it's not going to give America
the information.
I think it's a fair thing to say. It's a good way to make China freak out.
Which it did,
yes.
And has been doing, and is going to continue to, because Trump just announced more tariffs on. We'll get to it, but. Spoiler alert, as of just a couple hours ago, I mean, even, I think really just 45 minutes, an hour ago, Trump has said that he's going to put a 90-day pause on the tariffs for all other countries, sans China.
Isn't that fake?
Now, no, this time it's real.
Oh, so that.
And I'm
that
going
one
to talk
is
about
legit.
why. I'm going to talk about why I think it's real this time, because when it was CNBC falsely reported that Trump was going to pause it for 90 days, and immediately the stock market exploded past where it had been just hours beforehand, past where it had been at its peak before the tariffs went into effect. So my guess is that maybe, I'm not saying 40 chess on that. I think that really was an error from CNBC. But the Trump team saw it and went, oh, good, now we can, and look, if they are bending the knee, as some people are hypothesizing, well, then they have a great excuse now as to why it's not really bending the knee, we got what we want. We're just going to keep putting pressure on China, who's our real enemy.
There was a really great fucking meme that I saw. You know the You Are the Chosen One, the I Hate You bit from Star Wars 3?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's one that just said, buy the dip, and the bottom was, with fucking what? And that fucking killed me. I'm like, that's such a good meme. I think it was on Twitter. I'm like, oh, goddamn, I wish I had it up now. There's some good shit.
For the time being, though, we'll start with some other slots.
Equity
so this
cameras.
is interesting. Yes, this is hilarious. Oh my gosh. You know what? I've read through this. Go ahead, Spoon. You take this one from Ben Zeiss.
Equity cameras go live in California if you're low income, prepared to pay. Yeah, because that's what you need.
If you're not low
income. Oh, if you're not low income,
if you're not low income. This is an actual,
okay, sorry, there we go.
By law, this is implemented into the legal system, two-tiered criminal justice system that differently prioritizes impoverished, read black and brown, versus non-impoverished peoples.
So
they're using low income, but you know.
Someone said Spoon collaboration with Better Bachelor anytime. He doesn't know who I am.
Well, introduce yourself.
Go back him, in other words.
Yeah, but I'm small but still known by some people. Like someone accused me last week of being a grifter and astroturf. That I have a PR team.
That's so fucking bizarre.
Yeah, because I went on Oren and I went on with like Simone and Malcolm, like I think about 2.5 weeks ago, because I was because they messaged me like months ago. Same with Oren. Like Oren has wanted me on for a while, but we didn't have a topic. And now they just went like, oh, look, he's a grifter. I'm like, motherfucker, what jackass grifter peddles monarchy in 2025? Like, if I'm going for maximizing profit via grifting, why would I choose monarchy? I suck at grifting if that's what I'm doing. That makes no fucking sense.
You have the PR consistency of a canister of tear gas in a fucking kindergarten.
Depends how retarded they are, but...
Oh, a week ago.
They might just swallow the thing. Might stop it, but anyway. But yeah, that's fucking hell. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with that. Yeah. So, but I am going on a show on Friday morning my time. I think it'll be like 11 or 9 o'clock Eastern time for you guys over in Yankee Land.
Eastern.
Yeah, someone called the Raging Tomato. Southern lady.
Hey, you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with her show, but yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, because they said to me, I asked like, how does a show long? And I saw how long the streams are. They're like 6 hours. And we're like, if you think I'm gonna stay awake at 3 a.m. till 9 a.m. my time, you got another fucking thing coming.
I mean, I've done it for Flashcast multiple times.
Yeah,
it's
I know, but
rough.
Yeah, okay, but the thing is with Flashcast is they do a show. Yeah. And everyone just talks about the show. Whereas in this one, I'm being interviewed, and then they have people on the panel for like 5 hours. I'm like, if you think I'm gonna like spit some game on monarchy at 3 a.m. for a panel, good fucking luck to you on that. Because I'm not gonna be at my A game, and I'm gonna be cranky. And if people ask me dumb shit, especially Americans, like I said to her, like I'm on your show, so I have to be polite. But in my head, I'm like, I want to cuss and call everyone a F-slur, because that happens a lot. Especially lately. Lately, it's gotten fucking bad. But anyway,
there's a lot of it about.
Yeah. Is it just me, or is everyone getting stupider lately? Like it's like I'm noticing it more than usual. I don't know why.
I've said this all along that.
No, you're just noticing more. They're not becoming more stupid. You're just
the right wing celebrates like an Arabic wedding. So hooray, we won! Immediately start mag dumping the room we're in. Doesn't matter how much friendly fire we get. Right.
It's really bizarre because this is the time that you can hammer the left into oblivion, because the left right now don't know what the fuck to believe in. Seriously,
sure.
they don't know what the... Like, this is how the left work right now. There's a whole bunch of people like Tim Waltz who think the reason why we fail is not because we did DEI, it's because we didn't do it hard enough. Ironically, taking the it wasn't real communism fucking line of attack, which is batshit insane. And the people
but who cares what useful idiots think?
Yeah, exactly, but it's the thing. Some of the people on those sides, that is the problem, is that they have people who are strategically inept in their fucking side, and those same fucking people who are strategically inept, they're screaming, we should do DEI harder, and the people that have sense are going, no, you fucking retards, you have to go more to Trump's direction, and they're being called sellouts by the strategically incompetent. No, I know that, but I'm saying this is
the left, right, but the left is also is abandoning the DEI stuff, too. I've got some evidence that it's still happening, but that's because they didn't get the... They're true believers. They didn't get the memo. Yeah, they're dinosaurs. They will be phased out. It's happening.
Yeah, I slightly disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that is because this is the example I use in my video. If you take someone like Jasmine Crockett, right? I
got her stuff tonight.
Yeah, yes. Right. She's stupid as shit. Now, however, if you look at her constituents, she represents the far left. So if her constituents are fucking retards, her acting like that keeps her in wind.
Sure, so absolutely. Same with AOC.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nothing to... Right.
Yeah, but that's my point, is that in their little local land, that makes sense. But for anyone who's playing politics on the federal level, they realize that local shit only sells there, and the rest of the country doesn't fucking work. So that's the schism playing out. It's the local people that want to stay in power, and they're going to keep peddling their dumb shit. And there's the people who are trying to get to a federal level, and they're trying to rinse them. So that's their fucking problem, is that they can't reconcile that is not going to gel on a federal level. Meanwhile, a whole bunch of their own retards in their ranks is trying to anchor them on a local level and prevent them from actually winning a general level again.
It doesn't really matter what the local. It doesn't really matter what the small time local retards do, though.
No. That is true. But the sort of like more content creator kind of people is where this kind of plays out. Like take for example, like that fucking stupid person.
You're talking about like agenda setting.
Yeah. Like take for example that Francesca Fiorentini that Cenk recently fired because she went far left retard. She still thinks like Jasmine Crockett, whereas Cenk thinks like, well, potentially like Gavin Newsom.
Cenk thinks whatever makes him money. That's all that Cenk cares about. And he's not the only one, by the way, as we're going to look at.
That's true, but Cenk is trying to go at that from the business perspective. From the business perspective of, if I want to stay in political relevancy, I have to cozy up to people who are just slight to the right of William F. fucking Buckley, or else I'm shit. Like, he actually has some strategic elements, mainly because of business acumen. Whereas the people who are small fry, who rely on Cenk, can basically bash Cenk all fucking damn day long and still appear far left because they're basically under his fat-ass money umbrella.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's essentially their problem right now, which is why it's really, really funny watching, essentially, this is going to, I just realized what I'm actually watching, this is fucking funny, is the sellouts are actually subsidizing the far left retards. Oh my fucking god, we're actually watching
but
this.
That's
fucking
and
hilarious.
let's be clear though. There's no unity among the right either. People seemingly have no idea how to react to Trump's tariffs. That's like, you know, and the discussion that
shit. This is really bad policy, Trump, and then there's the trust the plan people.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're gonna look. Yeah, I mean, that's again why the talk yesterday.
It's great.
Again, it's why I was interested in the talk yesterday between AA and Dan, because they came from different positions on that. And I tend to think that this was the flat sort of 10%. The flat 10% is really dumb. But we'll get. I want to keep all the tax stuff in the
No, sorry,
the
I just need to read
tariff
this.
stuff.
Let's see.
Frankencisco. Yes, Frankencisco.
Yes, San Francisco launched a controversial. Anything that San Francisco does is controversial. Let's be fucking real. New traffic camera program through which residents with low income or receiving government assistance will receive substantial discounts in fines. So basically, if you're a dumbass person, so let me get this straight. So if you're low income, it's probably because you do dumb shit, and now you get the green light to do more dumb shit because you'll be punished less.
Yeah.
Also, I like how they had to delineate that if you're on government assistance, you count as being poor, even though they do actually delineate between the two. Because they know that most of the people who are on government assistance are probably making more money shitting out youngsters than the people who are actually working for a living in California.
This is specifically about traffic crimes, right? That's what these cameras are for.
What other fucking crimes are there? They've already fucking legalized theft.
That's true, and I don't know what is illegal in California.
Didn't they let off some people who were like straight up killing each other in the fucking street?
So here it goes into the specifics. For example, drivers caught going between 11 and 15 miles per hour over the speed limit would ordinarily receive $50 in fees, but if they are, quote, low income, they will pay $25, and if they are on public assistance, the fee will drop to $10. So in other words,
basically you get to pay $10 to speed.
Makes it cheap for you to break the law.
What's that fucking line that they keep editing into Final Fantasy Tactics that they, like the left likes to bandy around? If a crime's only punishment is a fine, then only the poor are actually held by it. Now it's just like, okay, if they're getting such reduced fucking rates, then at that point they're no longer beholden to it.
More crime.
You'd save that money on fucking fuel. That's what a fucking
assistant. What the fuck?
Okay, by the way, there is no excuse for being POV and being black in California anymore. You're already basically immune to the fucking law. Why are you still poor? Just go steal shit. You got nothing. You got no reason not to.
It's basically you can just kind of.
I think that
I guess.
Like they could cut off public assistance in California and have no function. And if assuming that everyone was actually declaring when they got money, there would be no functional change.
San Francisco is the poster child for segregation.
Yeah. So again, it's just the fees are halved for everything, so that if it was a $500 fine, you'd get $250, and then what was it, $75?
Anyone going? Wait, go back up again. A little bit there. Anyone going more than 100 miles per hour can expect to be fined a whopping $500 unless they happen to be low income or on public assistance, which the fee may fall to $250 and $100 respectively.
So if you're on public assistance, so if you're on the dole, you pay even less than the person who's not on the dole, but below the poverty line.
And let's talk about what this incentivizes in reality and not in whatever fictional land it is.
People to speed and pay shitty fines.
Yes, and specifically what it will encourage is that encourages people to not make more. You know, again, I watch Financial Audit all the time. There was a guy on the other day
money because they can do crazy shit.
Who specifically, like, this guy is like $500,000 in debt or something insane. And the only job that he does is that he works part-time delivering food, and he grows weed. He's in Michigan. And by the end of the show, it came out, well, the reason why he's doing that is because as long as he makes under a certain amount of money, the IRS doesn't fuck with him. And that's just an example that I saw recently, but there's tons of examples of that. It's the same thing with welfare. You know, people will intentionally make, and look, there is some rationale for doing it, because oftentimes when you go back to work and you're a low-skilled worker, the amount of money that you would make working an actual job is comparable, if not less sometimes, than what you would make just receiving government benefits. So there's all these incentives to actually be poor. And this is just another incentive for it.
It's always been the case. Single mums who shit out a litany of kids from different fathers. Like, this is a major issue in the Anglosphere. Not just black women, white fucking doll scum women as well.
Yeah.
Still, like, it is, fucking human yeast factories. Like, there is no incentive for them to ever join the workforce or do anything productive with their fucking lives. They exist to shit out a litany of the lowest common denominator of genetics and water down the next generation's fucking labor pool.
Before we move on,
people. Jesus.
I know, for real. Let me hit these super chats, because we've got a lot of people of support right out of the gate. Hey guys, thank you so much. Hope you are cool with the earlier time.
Hell
we're trying to keep doing early. We're only 15 minutes late. While trying to be early. Lamented Guide's been a member for 11 months, says, differently punctual and heterosexually challenged, as always, sir. Sven, well, we got yours, yes. We got yours for 5 euros. Lance for 2 says, can I get a B pass from Bill? He wants to be able to say bigot.
Yeah, he's allowed.
Cool.
All further requests will be $10 minimums. Lance asked me nicely. He gets because he's the first person who asked. He gets it for cheap.
Well,
all future ones.
You got to buy your
PayPal
pass. Giza has been a member for 27 months. Says, I'm loving how the entire world is going crazy over the tariffs, but ignore the fact they've had higher tariffs on U.S. goods for a decade. Yeah. Also, funny, all the tariff haters didn't hold this anger over taxes. There's a lot of confusion going on right now in general. Again, as we'll get to, I think people are. It's sides cuckery has entered the chat as usual
apparently,
in terms of over rationality and logic.
Something has occurred whilst we've been having this conversation. Apparently, in the space of 10 minutes, the American economy gained $4 trillion.
Vex, no one is going to believe that.
What Vex say this time?
No, it's not the cross-dressing part. It's the fact that I would double book.
Oh my. Okay.
If you people in the chat can't make a fucking joke out of that, then I'm going to be drastically disappointed in all of you.
You better say something funny.
Well,
I'm paying for the day pill. That's my punishment.
Move ahead.
You couldn't be a transvestite in South Africa. If all your vinyl skirts would melt onto your skin in the heat.
No,
they
Dan,
do
you'll get
that
AIDS.
though. It's like you know how
they're transvestites. They already have AIDS.
It's like when you do the car detailing and they put the new color on it and they have to vacuum seal it. That would get stuck to your.
God, like a fucking human vinyl wrap.
Vacuum, sealed in vinyl
to go
wrap.
that fucking far.
No, and that heat, that's that heat on a humid day, that's a sous vide right there.
Yeah, you put sous vide, homie.
There's a good transvestite name if you want to go with sous vide.
Sous vide? Oh, that's a not transvestite. You mean like a drag queen?
Either or, fucking potato.
Yeah. TK for 10 says.
Yeah, that's the tragic thing. There's a lot of hard-working drag queens out there who were just trying to work an honest pay, and now here we are, vaudevilles in fucking shambles.
Good Lord. TK. Hey, Lucy, gifted 5 Broken Ground memberships. Thank you. TK for 10 says, if tariffs on China go past 300%, I will swear off alcohol. Do it, Donald J. Trump. I mean, I've been sober for 3 months, so
I've been sober
not entirely a choice.
I've more or less been sober the same amount of time. I've been keeping myself honest with the one night a month to remind myself not to drink ever again, and which has also been helpful.
For 30 minutes.
Aw. I know, struggle's real. Frog Jupiter for 5 says...
Just £2 a month, you can help to prevent this.
Frog Jupiter for 5 says, if you consider Chinese working conditions, you could frame the tariffs on China as a slavery tax. Also eat the rich crowd crying right now. Again, there's a confusion
or a sanction against the slave estate.
The reality is that Westerners will not work in Chinese conditions for Chinese wages. That is very much a reality.
It's illegal for them to do so.
If you're going to bring back, yes. So if you're going to bring back industry in, say, I don't know, stitching up Nikes, right?
That's never gonna happen.
It's going to be very difficult to find. Yeah, in order to incentivize Americans to want to do that job, the price of Nikes produced in the U.S. would be astronomical compared to what it is to produce it in a country like China, where they use functional slave labor.
But if they did that, they'd have to put
the shoes with the new American price, $2,500.
Is that enough to get it into the felony range in California? Because that'd be really funny.
Probably not.
I was about to go into the... Isn't it $2,000 or $4,000 for it to be an instant felony, and therefore the state will actually, look into it in the shit bag left to your states?
Is it now 1,000? It should be 500.
Yeah, that's what Bull says. Oh no, the price of Nikes go up. No, they're not paying for them anyway.
No.
They're stealing them, and then you claim them back on insurance.
Here's some other remnants of wokeness. Colorado House approves pair of bills for transgender care and protections. Colorado Newsline. One of the things in this is parents misgendering kids. Like I said, the problem with this stuff is that some of it still goes on, and it certainly doesn't get removed, right? Everything just gets memory hold. People forget about the shit that's on the books, but all of this stuff is still enshrined in law. So, states enact policy to restrict care, especially care for minors. Colorado could further become an island of access and absorb more out-of-state patients. House Bill 251309, sponsored by Titoni, I don't know, would codify into state law existing state public health rules about gender affirming healthcare coverage. It could make it illegal for health insurers to deny or limit care deemed medically necessary by a doctor, which who the hell knows what that could include, but could include hormone therapy and procedures like facial surgery, breast augmentation, and genital reconstruction. What can be treated by rules can also be undone. Bill sponsor Representative Kyle Brown, except Louisville Democrat, except it never is. The bill codifies existing standards into statute to provide long-term stability and clarify for patients. The bill would also exempt prescriptions for testosterone from the state's prescription drug use monitoring program. That's not a good idea.
What?
Oh, great. All the fucking trend heads.
No. There's a reason why you have to monitor testosterone. Because it's used illegally.
People angry.
Well, yeah, because
we're not just talking about the Finny Rage crowd. We're talking about people who are legitimately defrauding major, sporting events.
I mean, that's just stupid, then.
What this boils down to, doesn't this look a lot like a big backdoor for illegal drug trade, like it always fucking is? You buy all this shit in Colorado, you fucking ship it across the state border to another region, you sell it at a profit.
Here's the part that's a little bit more concerning, though. The other bill, House Bill 251312, aims to add protections for transgender people in schools and courts. It will require courts to consider as a form of coercive control, which, oh fuck, I hate this fucking term. This is one of those terms that comes from sociology, social science, and has been adopted by the left. What it basically means is, so if someone is pressuring you to do something for any reason, and they have something that you could define or try to explicate as being power over you, then it's coercive control. There is actually coercive control. It is a phenomenon that exists.
Okay, let's talk about the vaccine then. You're gonna start talking about that?
No, of course not. But that's how it works, right? Coercive control for actions like dead naming, using a transgender person's previous name before transition, and misgendering in child custody decisions. It would also shield parents who help their child obtain gender-forming care from court orders and other states that outlaw the practice.
So this is just gonna be a way for you to legally kidnap your child?
Yeah. Which has been happening. So, like I said, the stuff stays on the books. It keeps going. Just the overtness of it goes away. And this will keep going on for a while. I don't know if it will eventually just stop, but what has been put in place is unlikely to ever be removed. Because government only expands. It never really restricts itself, obviously.
It has to be restricted.
This story, I don't know how we missed this last week. I don't know how we forgot to cover it. But
UN judge found guilty of forcing young women to work as slave.
Or a couple weeks ago, actually, because this was back in early March. Probably when we weren't streaming. Did we talk about this?
I feel like we touched upon this because it's very funny.
Let's do it again. Funny. Whatever. Yeah, I thought we didn't. All right, Bill, you want to take it then?
A United Nations judge has been convicted of forcing a young woman to work as a slave. Lydia Mugambe, 49, took advantage of her status over her victim by preventing her from holding down steady employment and forcing her to work as her maid and to provide free childcare, prosecutor said. Mugambe, who is also a High Court judge in Uganda, was found guilty on Thursday of conspiring to facilitate the commission of a breach of UK immigration law. Did you have...
Uganda.
If you're gonna... Okay, you do it.
This is serious. Everybody in Uganda knows Kung Fu.
No, okay. We don't... You leave Paul Wakaliwood alone.
I know, I like Wakaliwood.
Who Killed Captain Alex is fantastic. 2's coming out soon, and we still don't know who the fuck actually killed Captain Alex. I hate to spoil it for people, but they don't explain it in 1. I assume that this is some kind of trilogy, in the vein of, like, The Hobbit only actually needs to be 3 films. Okay, where was I? Facilitating travel with a view to exploitation, forcing someone to work, and conspiracy to intimidating a witness following a trial at Oxford Crown Court. Caroline Caroline retarded name, KC, prosecuting, told jurors during the trial Lydia Mugambe has exploited and abused her alleged victim, taking advantage of her lack of understanding of her rights to properly paid employment and deceiving her as to the purpose of her coming to the UK. Jurors accepted the prosecution's case that Mugambe, who was studying for a law PhD at University of Oxford, had engaged in illegal folly with Ugandan Deputy High Commissioner John Leonard Magurva, in which they conspired to arrange for the young woman to come to the UK. Here's a question. Why the fuck is a high judge from Uganda having to take like a...
getting a PhD in the UK? That's a good question.
Yeah, I thought she'd already been qualified. The prosecutor said that the pair participated in a very dishonest trade-off in which Mr. Magurva arranged for the Ugandan High Commission to sponsor the woman's entrance into the UK in exchange for Mugambe's attempting to speak to a judge who was in charge of legal action Mr. Magurva was named in. Oh, okay, so we've also got corruption in the courts.
Of course, like, what you expect? This is fucking high court.
Mugambe's trial, she had the intention of attaining someone to make her life easier at the least possible cost to herself. Mugambe denied forcing the young Ugandan woman to do household chores and said she always treated her with love, care, and patience. Now, my question is... how often does this happen? Because it's more than this is not a one-off.
I imagine probably all the time.
Everywhere.
Also,
of course. That's a big problem with illegal immigration is that it encourages or at least provides a cover for slavery. It oftentimes is slavery.
Yeah, there's
in
multiple.
The US in particular.
This is something that Dubai uses extensively. It will invite Jeets over to work on building operations, and they'll take all their passports. And here's my thing. She's in the UK. They don't mention it here, but when she was originally taken, she claimed diplomatic immunity because of her placement as a UN judge. She was in the UK under like a visa as a international, like court, like operative. So she was already being looked after by the taxpayers' dime.
Yes.
And she still felt the need to have a slave.
Yeah.
Maybe it was more
just the way things are in Uganda. She's like, oh no, I need this for it's like part of her life is what she said. She needs it to make her.
But that's what I'm saying. It's just like the novelty of slavery is just necessary
easier.
for him.
Sure, yeah, because that's normalized, I guess. It's just an insane.
Black on black violence seems to not be an American thing either.
Oh yeah, sorry, I got distracted and I stopped reading the super chats. Mario Trillo has been a member for 2 months. Says you can't reason with insanity. It's foolish to try. Absolutely. Horwitz Feinberg and Horwitz for 5 says, so did this SC work? SC. What does SC stand for? We were talking about. Oh yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you, Horwitz Feinberg and Horwitz. DRT is King for 10 says every time the Chinese spurg out against tariffs getting higher, I think shifting tax from income to consumption tax would be better, as the proles will still pay while it can allow lessening the income
Tim
tax.
Waltz or Warren Buffett?
That's Tim Waltz. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. More so, obviously, what is currently happening is silly.
Looks like one of the Jackson brothers.
There are ways to probably do this in a more reasonable way. I think the point is to not be reasonable, though. If there is any point, if it is actually intentionally being done this way, to just like America throwing its big dick on the table and acting like a buffoon on the international stage, that might be the point. I mean, obviously a bunch of countries came to the table, but again, we'll get to that. Lance for 5 says, I think Austin Metcalf is the real poster child for segregation. That is the guy who stabbed the teenager at the track meet. I've got that later.
Yeah, that's man.
And yes,
did you see he raised over like $100,000?
Yeah, we'll get to it. Marcellus Dorito for 5R? Dorita, I'm sorry. I don't know what, is it R? Is it rubles? I don't know what that is. Says, Spoon, which one of you guys is the goodest goy, and why ist Aiden? Is it because females have a greater fear of being ostracized?
I
probably.
don't think Aiden has a fear of ostracized.
I try to be nice to everybody.
It's the Brazilian real.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, that's what that means. I didn't even know
okay.
I was just about to say.
Didn't even know the Brazilians had money yet.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, like, I didn't know Brazil had a
Russian
currency.
I just assumed they traded bullets.
I don't know why I thought that. I know what the Russian currency symbol looks like. Whatever. Brain.
I thought they're like trading rum or some shit.
No, in my brain temporarily.
It's Robux.
Shut down and blue screen like a shitty Dell computer. Speaking of retards, Maryland
if someone
lawmakers
asked me, like,
reparations.
what is Brazil's currency, I would have gone, like, I have no fucking idea, actually.
Fucking Robux, fucking Nicaraguan people's blood in vials.
Truddle for 5
Scalps.
says the discourse is dead. Long live the discourse. It never stops, does it? Unrelated, picked up to Juveniles on Power, and it's good stuff so far. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great book.
Good choice.
Highly recommended. Yeah. I think that's like required.
It's mandatory reading for. Yeah.
Or on our list of mandatory.
We need to have like a booklet. Like, could you at least name 2 books you think are like required reading?
For us?
Or just,
I mean, obviously,
just right wing in general.
The Bible.
Basic economics. And like absolutely required reading. Yeah.
Zach Brannigan's Big Book of War.
And what else?
Zach Brannigan.
What would you say? Name one? I'd have to think because there's 2. Picking the second spot, it's like.
No, it's really not that well put together. It's like well longer than it needs to be. My dad gave me a copy of that for some reason. I don't know what. To this day, I still I asked what the fucking open air. What did he mean by this?
Maybe like if you can read this book, you can read anything.
Yeah, I guess so.
Probably keep me quiet.
The Prince is a good one.
Book of 5 Rings and Art of War.
Yeah, way up there too.
I really should stress the Bible though.
Yeah.
Make sure you get one of the reputable translations, not fucking some of the dog shit.
I can't really put basic economic. But now if you've got the Bible on there, anything you put next to it is, it's on the level of the Bible. If you're gonna like
as close to the Greek as you can get.
Yeah, you get the Septuagint.
Of race and
that's
reason.
Just been maintained. I feel like there's more core stuff, but oh well. So Maryland is thinking about giving away reparations. Of course, this is
already bankrupt state.
Ridiculous. Absolutely, no one's gonna pay for this. I mean, every time they do these calculations, the amount of money that the states would have to, that people would have to pay into it is just. I mean, it's calculable technically, but it's absurdist.
Also, what do you get? Okay, I'm gonna sound really based here. What do you get by giving the least productive members of civilization any money?
You get to feel nice.
Yes, you get to feel nice. There
until
you go.
they use that money to,
I think I would feel
nice
by
replicating the where a chip out might occur.
I think I would feel nicer replicating the opening scene from 300.
Yep.
It's a moment of sort of thinking, is that the discarding children one, or is that?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, yeah. I mean, digging a pit's a lot cheaper than paying reparations. I'm just saying.
True. The state, but oh my
communists
God,
would approve of this payment.
They did like digging ditches and shooting people in the back and burying them in it. Yeah, they did do that.
Hey, who said anything about wasting bullets? Have you seen the fucking price of those things these days?
True.
I mean, okay, so I want to do a video. I think I'll probably only do it on Rumble because it's too spicy for YouTube.
Spicy?
But yes, because it's essentially trying to make a moral case for slavery. Okay, the quietness is really eerie.
We're just you go.
Slavery
you
is
go
cringe.
King.
You should always make sure that when farm equipment becomes obsolete, you should get rid of it.
Yeah, that's kind of sort of the point. Is that okay? If I'm gonna make I'll give a TLDR case. any society, you will have your defects, essentially, and you do rely on a certain kind of benevolence from the society that they're in to make sure they have some kind of dignity about them. I mean, normally you put them in prison, but if there's a bunch of people that cannot behave with free will, slavery is actually a fairly benevolent alternative.
Oof.
Yeah,
Really.
I'll say this: people. I don't agree with any situation that kind of pays someone less than a fair wage for a day's fucking work, no matter if they're fucking Mongs or some racial variant thereof.
Yeah.
Like you pay. Otherwise, you're just taking money out of the pockets of hardworking people.
I agree.
I mean, look, also, here's the reality. Not every slave master is cruel, and not every slave is a fucking CEO in the wings. Like, that's reality. We don't want to discuss that because the alternative of what do you do with the ones that actually are not that? No one wants to fucking have that conversation.
Send them back home.
There's very, very big immediate issues that I have with this. One, who do you determine who is a slave and why?
But that's my fucking point.
Most of this busy work,
how do you,
slave
what is
work,
the point then?
like field work.
Who is a slave? Who would be made a slave?
You see, that's my point.
Would it be like an IQ test? Is that what you're suggesting? I'm wondering how you would implement this suggestion. Yes.
What's the criteria for enslavement?
Yeah, I'm not going with the implementation. I'm just going that there needs to be an option for these kinds of people, because otherwise they're just a massive burden on the state. Like, basically, this is like an argument for eugenics.
Actually, I have that on I have on the docket tonight that we're going to talk about eugenics.
Hooray!
Okay.
So as open, and so let's put a pin on it.
I'm gonna be honest, like, most people I've had this discussion with, most people are actually pro eugenics because they just go, well, if we do this for fun, why is it going to do it for people?
Oh, that's
Why
the
is it
thing.
bad?
When you get down to brass tacks, most people are in favor of genetics in such an implicit way, or eugenics in such an implicit way they don't even recognize it, because
Yeah, of course.
life, evolution is eugenics. Ultimately,
I would like to mandate
in
the
terms
strongest
of
possible people so I can go
selection.
and conquer the entire world. Like, why is that bad?
Basically, what is now referred to as eugenics is actually artificial limits that have been put on the
It's
natural
basically the birthing policy
state
of Rome.
evolution. But that's what I mean. Like, these people would not be alive if it were for the policies that are in place that allow them to exist, because they don't have anything to offer society. They don't have anything to provide.
And they never will.
And I mean, like, that sounds terrible, but it's just the fact that there are some people who are absolute net negatives.
But if they're foreign, they should be deported.
Sure. What do you do with a...
And then once they're deported, you go invade their countries.
Yeah. And then deport them back.
When you have homogenous societies, when you do have these couple of people that say they are not criminals, but they're too stupid to be able to function, they're too infirm to be able to function, you have a closely knit homogenous community, then that community will tend to take care of those people. It doesn't need enforcement, usually, for people to want to care for, their kin, even if they have these disabilities and such. I understand the desire for a social safety net, particularly as the sizes of nations expand and more people get put into it. I certainly would not say to go back to removing all social safety systems under the current paradigm, but ideally you wouldn't need it. Ideally, you wouldn't need them. I mean, if there wasn't essentially anti-eugenics programs in place that make it, again, so we go back to this thing where, like, people will just sit at home and have a bunch of kids and not make any money and not be productive because it's actually beneficial for them to do so, comparatively to putting a bunch of time and effort and work. So we're selecting, actually, for the latter, for the lazy person, not for the person who goes out and works.
But the people that are pushing... Well, Planned Parenthood is being pushed to basically everyone, unfortunately. And
I got stuff on Planned Parenthood, too.
Problem is, if you're going to start... People are going to have to put the fucking dicks away, or close the bleeding legs, or be okay with something akin to, like, abortion. The unfortunate matter of things.
Yeah.
You're either going to have to ask people to fucking behave themselves, which we've established is everyone now is too retarded to achieve. Or you're going to have to be okay with abortion applying to people who are, undesirables. Which is what Planned Parenthood was started for, and now it's a legalized organ legging operation.
Well, yes. And that's a hard thing to
I'm not pro.
discuss.
I'm not pro-choice or pro. I am pro-eugenics but I also hold no idea that people are going to be able to fucking behave themselves.
We're gonna talk about Tim Pool's meeting with BB Foy. So anyway, just to finish this up though, Maryland is already in a $3.3 billion deficit. So just doing the study,
the Fed paying for that bridge.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, the Fed is paying for the Key Bridge to be rebuilt. Remember when the ship crashed into it? Was it last year or the year before?
Yeah. Please, sir, move the bridge.
It's going to cost them $54,000 just to conduct a study to see how much it will cost to give away reparations, which the estimate is up to $1.2 million each.
Per person.
That's in California. Excuse me, that's in California. That was California's proposal. So you would imagine they would go with something similar to California, or at least in theory.
Did you see this this clip going viral of Jon Stewart listening to Ezra Klein talk about how the state implements a plan to add broadband?
I saw a clip of Jon Stewart that was I saw a clip of Jon Stewart that was going around recently where he like appeared to be rational, or like he figured out something. I don't remember what it was though. What do you? I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
5 minutes long.
No, that wasn't it. I don't think. What was the TLDR of it? What was
the TLDR is
elevator pitch.
Ezra Klein goes him through like step by step, and there's like 27 fucking steps, something absurd like that, on how to get the states.
Oh yes, I did watch this. Okay,
yeah, and
yes.
And at the end he's just going like, "Oh my God," and he just loses his fucking mind. Because he
realizes how much bullshit it is.
Yeah, how much. And I kind of want to do a video on it, and I kind of want to call it "How to Become an Anarchist," just for tongue in cheek. Because if you watch that, one of the biggest things that I have that makes me hate democracy, and why everyone who believes it's a functioning system is functionally retarded, is you expect people to do their job with no oversight, which is fucking insane. Like, imagine taking somebody else's money, no one holds it to account, and in the next election cycle you can pass it off as somebody else's fucking problem, and you expect people to be responsible with this. Why?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's inherently because of the diffusion, because of the diffusion of responsibility that is inherent in democratic systems that are perceived as being constantly in rotation when that could not be further from the truth. That responsibility never ends up anywhere near where it should be placed. And in fact, what ends up happening is in the perpetual news cycle, it gets memory hold. People forget about it. Again, as we're going to talk about the Audrey Hill Transfesto, more stuff about that. And then also now there's more information about the signal leaks, which, what did we say at the time? This is throwing Waltz under the bus. That's what happened. That's what they ended up going with. It was absolutely to get rid of him. Or so it seems. I don't know what any other intentions were in it. Like I said, I hypothesized that it was trying to find moles or people who were not trustworthy. But we'll get into that later as well.
Oh, the signal thing.
The signal thing, yes.
Before we move off the ridiculous reparations thing, because there is like 1.82 million black people in Maryland, it would be $2 trillion, 184 billion, to pay that reparations gig. Which I believe is like a...
Let's see. Who's got a GDP of $2 trillion?
Do you know how many people you could just kill with that?
That's a tenth of the GDP. That's a tenth of the gross domestic product of America on a yearly basis.
Fuck me.
Okay. That's great. Love
that. Maryland, one of the 50 states.
So it has... That's the GDP of South Korea and Russia. Around Brazil, Russia, South Korea, and Australia, around those countries' GDPs. Throw Canada in there too. No, individually. Those are all. Okay. Canada is the highest at 2.3 trillion.
That's a nation's GDP for a. How's Maryland doing? Isn't it just a massive fucking financial black hole? Pardon the pun.
Are these in trillions? Wait a minute. That's by US.
You said it's a couple of billions in that article we just read.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know where Bill got his calculation from.
I times 1.2 million by 1.89 million, which is like the black population of Maryland. Because 1.2 million each.
Okay, sorry. That is the GDP
there is no black person
Russia
in
or
$1.2
Canada,
million.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Russia and Canada both have GDPs around 2 trillion. The whole countries, each individually. So like the whole GDP of Russia is what the state of Maryland is proposing to hand out.
The only black
just,
person
this,
that
these are
deserves
just
$1.2 million
absolute
is
fever
Diddy.
dream
Oil isn't by
fairy
itself.
tales. Obviously, these are fever dream fairy tales. This is not
Rope's
happening.
like
It's just
$20 on it. I fucking hear that, but...
pointless nonsense. Let's see. Jacoto345 has been a member for 20 months. Says welfare is reputations. Reputation. How is it? I'm not sure I understand.
Welfare's reparations. I think you got auto-corrected.
Oh, yes. Welfare is reparations. Yes. Essentially. Ven Marley the Fool for 5 says... Yeah. Says, Lotus Eaters had an excellent episode some 5 days ago where Dan explained why Trump is being radical with the tariffs. Give it a look. Yeah, I watched that, and then we watched him talking with AA about it yesterday. Let's see. And thank you, man. But, sorry, I was just dismissing it because I'm trying to hold off from the tariff talk. But yeah. I tend to agree more with AA on it than Dan, just being honest. But he raises some good points as well.
Which is ironic because Dan's an economist.
Speaking of Planned Parenthood, since it came up earlier, Planned Parenthood admits staffer, quote, inadvertently gave kids graphic coloring books in Louisville. The Kentucky Science Center apologized Wednesday, claiming Planned Parenthood distributed an adult coloring book to a group of 18 to 13-year-old public school students at an event on March 21st.
What an interesting age range they went with there.
I know.
18 to 13-year-old. You know, as opposed to how it's always given normally. 13 to 18.
Do they have... I don't know if I didn't click on this. I don't know if I want to... I don't want to see pictures of this. But I can't... here it is. There's the activity book, but are there any images of, like, what kind of... There's no images of what is detailed in it. Oh, this book. Here we go. Parent-child activity... Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go. So this...
I could think of... No, I think the more nefarious thing is the pills, like, mandala.
That's really creepy.
Here's what you'll be on for the rest of your life if you let us fucking deal with you.
An inter-uterine device?
Now, far be it from me to suggest that maybe the motherfuckers who say that Planned Parenthood's a cult might have a point.
I mean, this is just horrifying. The pills are actually the scariest part. The HB, the hormonal birth control. The
fucking birth control mandala. By the way, mandalas are meant to be temporary.
Right, yeah, you have to wipe that shit away. Take your magic pills, ladies. Everyone's taking their magic pills.
It's gonna make your accountability
SSRIs,
disappear.
Hormones of some sort, yeah. Yeah, right. So, yep, they handed that out to children. What were the ages again? 8 to 13.
So 8 to 13, not 18 to 13. 8 to 13.
No, 8 to 13.
What the fuck is Planned Parenthood dealing with 8 to 13-year-olds? They're a private organization.
It was at a science center. No, but they're a good private organization that's paid almost entirely and propped up by the government.
And also selling organs.
Yeah, just as the side hustle.
How is it private then?
Don't ask questions.
But how will I know
I bet... I don't know. I bet Planned Parenthood absolutely is run like a mafia, considering how they act.
Exactly. You don't get to know things. You might actually be a problem for us.
But yeah,
who's us? Who is us? Why are there so many parentheses around us?
The way I titled this little news story though was accident, huh? I don't think it was an accident. They knew they were going to distribute...
them getting caught was an accident.
Yeah.
Well, yes. So the Science Center posted a message on Wednesday afternoon saying they sincerely apologize for the distribution of a Planned Parenthood coloring book at our recent Health and Wellness Days event. However, Planned Parenthood vehemently disputed the coloring book was distributed at all, calling the claims false, and, quote, part of coordinated attempt to stir outrage and manufacture controversy. On Thursday, they clarified their statement. The post says Planned Parenthood provided a coloring book without our consent, and it does not reflect our policies or the intended content for the event. That's from the Science Center. They said that this book, which we looked at, is the one distributed, which Planned Parenthood calls an adult coloring and activity book. I'd say that's adult coloring and activity book. Yeah, we looked at it. Yeah. The book was created for Planned Parenthood's yearly conference. Contains coloring sheets that show male and female private parts and other sexual education activities. like crosswords and word searches. The conference is attended by affiliates and supporters and was meant as an activity for adult attendees. So them acting like, oh, we don't have anything to do with it. It was made for your event. And then you're giving it out at a science center to 8 to 13-year-olds. Sure, an accident. It's a lot of coincidences. Surely activating my almonds. You know what I mean? Who could have seen it coming, though, right? Yeah, again, like, well, just an accident, just a coincidence. And who could have seen this coming? Quote, we've lost our ways. San Francisco rethinks drug paraphernalia hangouts. Remember when, what was it, 2 years ago, California decided that they were going to hand out pipes and other implements for smoking crack for free? I remember. It turns out that wasn't a great idea. Plastic straws are banned in San Francisco, at least if you want to drink a soda or a lemonade. Those smoking fentanyl, however, have been able to get them for free at taxpayers' expenses. There was also a time 5 years ago when the city helped pay for a billboard that showed smiling, glittery partygoers, quote, do it with friends. The public service message said, urging drug users to consume with others so they could treat a potential overdose. That's insane.
That's illegal. That is patently felonious.
What? Holy shit. Well, if you're gonna do illegal drugs, at least do it around other people doing illegal drugs so that when you OD, maybe someone will remember to call the cops. We'll call
They aren't gonna
ambulance.
fucking do that. They'll be too busy. They would most druggies would literally rather shoot up than call the cops.
It's just truly...
One need only look as far as the film
civilization
Trainspotting.
shit. Well, I mean, they want people to be as broken and disenfranchised and atomized and on drugs and out of their brains as possible.
But still, just alive enough that you can
manipulate them.
Once you die, they'll still have you vote for them.
Well, of course.
But they want you alive so they can keep claiming you on federal relief and such.
Sure. For decades, San Francisco has been a liberal city. I mean, maybe.
What's that old adage? How do they separate the men from the boys in San Francisco? With a crowbar.
Oh God, yeah. Liberal city where those using drugs found easy access to their substance of choice and a government generally willing to tolerate addiction. City leaders emphasized a harm reduction approach, believing that more lives would be saved by helping users to consume safely rather than punishing them. But David Lurie, a moderate Democrat who became the city's new mayor in January, said this week that things have gone too far. He told the New York Times that he would announce on Wednesday a new policy that walks back the free distribution of clean foils, pipes, and plastic straws on the streets of San Francisco. The supplies were typically used to smoke fentanyl or methamphetamines, and the city spent hundreds of thousands of dollars per year on them. It's only been in effect, I think, for 2 years, because I mean, we covered it, and this is our 3rd year. So, yeah. So, we covered that when it happened. Spoon, are you there?
Yo.
Oh, okay. Sorry, you hadn't said anything in a minute. No, I was just making sure you were present.
They're not really.
Oh, that's okay. So, whatever. They've lost their way. They're going to roll this back because, surprisingly, it didn't... I mean, what do you think was... What was the actual outcome that you would have possibly hoped for this? It's obviously not a reduction in the number of people doing fentanyl.
Getting the druggies to all kill themselves in a way that they won't smell for very long, so you can just ship them up, basically zip them up in bags and ship them off to the crematorium.
Yeah, prioritizes keeping drug users alive and as healthy as possible until they are ready to accept treatment. So obviously, yes, it's not to... The point was not to reduce the number of people doing fentanyl at all. If anything, it was to make it easier. Yes, because if you're compliant and sick and out of your mind on drugs, then
I wonder how adrenochrome tastes if it's got other drugs processed through it.
I don't know. Okay. Resolutions for old news. Here's the stuff I've been talking about a little bit. So, this is how the Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg got added to the White House Signal group chat. So just, again, if anyone didn't, miss it was a huge scandal, of course, a couple weeks ago, that Trump and a bunch of other, or not Trump, excuse me, J.D. Vance and a bunch of other Trump officials and high-ups in his cabinet were caught in this Signal group chat where they were laughing about, attacking Hamas, and it was, a huge violation of national security, except it seemed... Okay, now with like a couple of weeks of clarity, post facto. What do you guys think was that? Was it intentional? Was it an op? And the problem with the op was that it didn't work because the stupid journalist went public with it too soon. Because that's what I was thinking at the time, and that still is what makes sense to me. Or it could have been a way to try and oust this Mike Waltz guy. Or it could have been a real, just absolute fuck up, and they're just fingering and putting all the blame on Waltz. I don't know.
It could also have been some bullshit internally to try and incriminate each other. That also didn't work very well. It could have been...
Whatever it was, it wasn't 4D chess at the end of the day.
It was gay and homeless is what it was.
Yes. So Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, included a journalist in the Signal group chat about plans for U.S. strikes in Yemen after he mistakenly saved his number months before under the contact of someone else he had intended to add. That ended up being the story? According to 3 people he briefed on the matter. Okay. I even missed that detail. The mistake was one of several missteps that came in light of the White House's internal investigation, which showed a series of compounding slips that started during the 2024 campaign, and went unnoticed till Waltz created the group chat last month. So Trump briefly considered firing Waltz over the episode, more angered by the fact that Waltz had the number of Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic, a magazine he despises, than the fact that the military operation decision took place on an unclassified system such as Signal. Well, did it though? The whole thing about it is that there was no information. It's that there were no specifics whatsoever as to what was going to happen. And it didn't leak until after the fact, which you could say is coincidental, and probably was. Again, I think that they intended for this guy to sit there and spy, as you would think he would want to do as a journalist.
The question is, what other bullshit is he getting up to behind the scenes?
Yeah. Trump decided against firing him. Yeah, the disclosures done in this triggered a forensic review by the White House information. I think this is all theater. Oh, because I really think they did this on purpose. Otherwise, it's so bizarre. Like, with the number of things that would have to line up for Waltz to have this Atlantic journalist who hates Donald Trump saved in his phone under somebody else's name and information. Somebody who must be so high up with this clearance to be invited to this chat. We're going to talk about military operations totally non-specifically, a-specifically. And then adds him, and then there's all these other people with names that you could line up with different, individuals within the Trump cabinet and sphere. And they just are all there talking about it openly and laughing. We're supposed to believe that's all real. That wasn't planned. I think, again, where it got fucked up is that they expected the journalist to stick around, and he didn't. Because otherwise, this still doesn't make any sense to me any other way I try to slice it. Let's see, where were we? According to the 3 people briefed on the internal investigation, Goldberg had emailed the campaign about a story that criticized Trump for his attitude towards wounded service members. To push back against the story, the campaign enlisted the help of Waltz, their national security surrogate. Goldberg's email was forwarded to then Trump spokesperson Brian Hughes, who then copied and pasted the content of the email, including the signature block with Goldberg's phone number, into a text message that he sent to Waltz so that he could be briefed on the... Dude! Cope. This is fucking cope. And I'll tell you exactly what it is. When someone gets caught in a lie, there's a tendency, or when they're lying about a story, they're fabricating something, to be overly detailed. It's very, very common of liars. All this confluence of events that had to come together for this to happen, and how detailed it is, and, well, it's totally implausible to me. I don't really know, again, what happened here, but I'll tell you this. It wasn't just some innocent accident. Spoon.
Yo.
Are you alright?
I'm here.
Yeah, you're on kind of a roll, so we're trying to let you have it.
Well, no, I mean, do you you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
I'm letting you go. If I ask him to add, I'll say so.
Okay. Covenant school trans shooter plotted national attack for years, kept notebooks with plans. So, final report. Yes. Nashville police have released their final report on the Covenant School massacre, a targeted attack on March 2023 on a Christian school by transgender shooter who killed 3 third graders and 3 adults. Rather than a highly anticipated manifesto, the report found that killer Audrey Hale left behind numerous notebooks, art books, and computer documents about her plans to commit the attack and gain notoriety, partially inspired by the Columbine shootings in 1999. Yeah, she, like, worshipped the Columbine guys. Hale, the 28-year-old attacker and biological female, began fantasizing about and researching mass shootings as far back as 2017. A year later, she wrote, quote, detailed fantasies about shooting up the Isaac T. Creswell Middle Magnet School for the Arts, killing her father and her psychiatrist. In this case, a manifesto didn't exist, the document reads. Hale never left behind a single document. I should have found that bit funny. What? Killing their parents and a psychiatrist. Yeah, sorry, I didn't even clock that. Yeah. And
you couldn't. I have to say this: you couldn't have kept this out of school. You couldn't have just jumped the fucking psychiatrist in the car park. You had to bring the kids into it. Yeah, typical transvestite fucking behavior.
Right. Yeah, just kill your psychologist if you gotta kill psychiatrist. If you gotta kill somebody, which you don't. You absolute freak. Yeah, he never left behind.
Just prove she was a woman at heart. After all, she made it everyone else's fucking problem.
Right, and targets the psychiatrist. But gee, a psychiatrist. Let's be very clear, not a psychologist. Psychiatrist is someone who prescribes what? Drugs. So, this was probably, I guess, the person giving them their tranny. What do you call it? Their gender fluid. Their gender fluid. Their true and shine. Yeah. So, wonder why he was so angry at his doctor. True and shine.
Yeah.
I think someone did make it. Well, because there was
or scrotum wax.
Well, there was the whole joke about when did we talk about Quartering's Coffee Company being seriously under?
No, I didn't touch upon that.
I don't think we covered it. The Quartering is like $300,000. He's like $300,000 in the hole.
Before we continue, Spoon, there is a medieval wine called Sack, which I think would be a very appropriate name given the situation.
Well, God, now I've lost my train of thought as to why I brought
Talking about coffee.
Yeah, but why? Yes, but
losing money.
Yeah, but now, oh, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know why that it had. I was tying it into something, and now with the derail, I've totally lost it. Oh well, it probably didn't matter.
Folks at home, you're welcome. Send me money.
Losing money,
I saved us half an hour, boys. Come on.
Listen, you're messing up my end back. Okay, like I got stuck at end back too. That's
end back. What's the second letter?
An end back test is how many spaces back on a list you can recall things, and I got stuck at too.
G back. A second G back.
I just thought you would like to know what that's called. It's called an end back test.
It's awfully racist of you.
Towers.
I thought as much.
2 of them if we could make it.
God, I had some reason for bringing that up.
Don't leave us hanging.
Well. Instead, her wait, let's see. Let me find a single document explaining why she committed the attack, why she specifically targeted the Covenant, and what she hoped to gain, if anything, with the attack. Instead, her motives were scattered across many notebooks and other writings investigators found. They included an image showing more than 24 notebooks seized from Hale's car and bedroom. Yeah, here's the whole police report.
It's a lot of planning to get 2 tapped by law enforcement in the first 10 frames.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Bill.
I mean, not the worst, true, gun attempt. Remember that one dude who was obsessed with Danny Phantom, who literally dumped a shotgun into a crowd of people and only, winged 3 of them with no fatalities?
Should we...
I hate to break it to people, but I think trans people are very good in combat. Almost like we shouldn't let them in the military either.
Let's see what we got on these laptops. Let's see. Is there anything interesting on these laptops?
You don't want to have a water table, man.
See Mario, Luigi, Buzz Lightyear, Cat in the Hat. It's like, wow.
I'm seeing some extreme Arrested Development here.
Yeah. That's, wow. That's, a little disturbing, honestly. The childishness of the things on the laptop. But yeah. There it was,
I'll beat the diddled allegations.
But the thing is that, this is so memory hold. I'm shocked that they even bothered to release it.
This was 3, 4, 5 transvestite shooters ago?
It's been quite a few. This was back in 2023. Again, it's been exactly 3 years. 2 years, excuse me. Wow.
Wishing your life away there.
No, I got thrown off by the thing. But now I'm stuck in the end back again. You know what I mean?
At least it's only wishing.
Yeah. Here, this section is just called "It's all so tiresome" because there's some fatigue that's about to set in regarding certain groups of people. Mentioned this before as well. Nearly $250,000 raised in defense for the 17-year-old accused of stabbing a teen at a track meet. So nearly $250,000 has been raised for a high school student accused of fatal. I mean, he stabbed him. This is legal.
Remember when these sites used to specifically block and steal the money of anyone who tried this shit with anyone who was actually innocent, like Kyle?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That money goes straight. That money's going straight in the pockets of his mother, and
right.
And she'd probably flee with it.
Well, they had to move it because they originally tried it. Or didn't they move it to a different service? Because I think one website told them to fuck off. No, here it is though. This is the Give Send Go at 285,000 out of a goal of 350.
Looks like Ray from Scary Movie.
Yeah. I like how they've included a thank you that manages to be a whole 2 sentences. The narrative being spread is false, unjust, and harmful. As a family of faith, we are deeply grateful for all of your support during this trying period. Your prayers and assistance mean more to us now. Your son more than ever.
Is going to jail.
Oh my God! There's a grammatical error. Yes, and
they're going for the death penalty. He's going to be a crispy critter forever. I'm glad they're religious, so he has the added terror of knowing the afterlife's waiting for him.
Who don't know what happened? We'll read this, and I'll tell you my take on it as well. Let's see. The narrative being spread is... We got the description. Also, I do really want to point out that your prayers and assistance mean more to us now more than ever. This is horribly phrased.
It's not like they wrote this themselves. They can't fucking string a sentence together.
I think they did, judging from, again, the error. On April 2nd, Anthony was sitting in the seats for Memorial High School students, but he was a student at Centennial High School. As far as I understand, it wasn't just seats, it was for the players. And he was not a member of either track team. So this is a track meet. He was not a member of either track team at either school. He was not a student at the school he was hanging out at. And they had this little tent set up over the bleachers. And they were for the 2 teams that were competing in the track meet. He was not on either track team and was a student from another school. So he was just loitering there and decided to stab this guy. Why did he stab him? One witness told the police that after being told to move from the place that he was not supposed to be because he's not a member of the track team, Anthony reached by, and by the way, he's sitting under the bleachers for the opposite team that he is not on. Anthony reached inside a bag and told Metcalf, touch me again and see what happens. The witness said Metcalf touched Anthony, then allegedly grabbed him. Anthony then allegedly stabbed Metcalf once in the chest before running away. Anthony told officers at the scene he was assaulted first and acted in self-defense. I'm not alleged, I did it, Anthony allegedly told police.
Well, far be it for me to suggest that I can hear Aiden laughing herself unconscious upstairs.
Oh my God, that's comedy writing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is embarrassing.
That is legit.
Bad.
This is like, speaking of Arrested Development, we now have a scene from it.
Did Bob Law...
Arrested Development also describes their fucking cognitive
write this
level.
for his law blog? Holy shit. TV6, Upper Michigan. I don't know.
Is there a name? Is there a name at the top?
Akeem Powell.
Oh, of course it fucking is, jeez.
Okay, we've come back. There's a lot going on here, boy.
Well...
Jesus fucking Christ, it's Transgender Urkel. Go back to that fucking picture.
There's a.
Fucking
okay, listen. No, I want to hear anything bad about Akeem. It's been rough since they got kicked off the set of that really bad remake of Saints Row.
Oh my. Okay, so we've had the
a vulgar display of physiognomy.
So we've had the fatigue from the urban demographic.
Urban fatigue.
And now we've got some fatigue from the female demographic, so let's move on to that. I know this is now a bit old, but let's
God,
just
no.
rage.
Not.
You can't. Spoon.
I've been specifically avoiding this fucking video because I've heard
I
how
have
bad
been
it
too.
is.
I've not watched it either. Spoon's the only one who's seen it. It
Judging
is
by the visceral response,
allegedly, the worst thing.
No, parody is... Women never indulge in parody. Women indulge in claiming it's parody after everything blows up in their face.
True. Spoon, is it that bad?
The ending is going to make me violent.
Grab a pillow so you can scream into it, I guess.
No, if I was grabbing a pillow, I'm not going to be screaming into it. I have other plans.
I think she's done enough screaming into a pillow for all of us.
That's... Okay. Let's roast her then. Sorry, Spoon, I hadn't seen it. I was waiting to watch it.
I'm in an empty room with no one else around me, so I can't objectively yell.
There you go. All right, everybody, headphone users beware. Let's get into it.
During my last relationship. So let me set the scene for you. I was dating this guy. We've been dating for 5 months.
First of all, vocal fry.
And in those 5 months, I was told by my friends, Zoe, he lives in Indiana. He's a fucking Republican. I was like, politics don't matter to me. Boy, was I wrong. And so I was like, it's fine. I don't care. I'm going to get to know him first. We'll decide later. So then... we kind of start talking about it. I'm a very liberal woman, so I am obviously
really? No
like
fucking
very
shit.
I feel like I'm having to do this sober. Do you guys how difficult this is?
much. Everyone knows that I'm.
Are you gonna stay sober for it? I thought
I'm sober.
You said you were. I knew Bill's sober. I didn't know Spoon was drinking.
Oh, the 20-minute thing? That was a joke.
Oh, okay.
A liberal woman. My brother's gay. All my friends are gay. Also, like abortion rights, female rights. But anyways, so I would like always ask him. I'd be like, what's your politics? Like, who do you?
We watched another video that was just like this the other week, though.
Can I just say this? Just like, if someone were to ask me, like, why do you dislike women? I would play this on loop until they feel the exact same fucking way I do.
Do you think she's probably just done this for attention? Because, like I said, I swear to God, we watched another video that was almost exactly like this.
Everything that women do all the fucking time. The most cancerous thing we have ever done for society is give women a fucking camera and a goddamn internet connection.
Sure, because
here's also rights in the 19th Amendment.
Yes, here's the consistent problem with us and why it's happening, right? Is that it's all this group-oriented, long-housed fucking thinking. In that she likes this guy. This is just like the case with the other woman. She likes the guy, but her social status is antithetical to his stated political goals. So he doesn't have enough social capital, no matter how much, or like certainly at some point, however much money he makes or however hot he is, beats out needing to be socially normative within her group of female friends who dictate what is and is not.
The intention of this video was to twist the knife on him.
Beliefs or thoughts.
100%. The whole point of this was just to twist the knife on him to try and get him to relent, and maybe have some knock-on effect with other men of his like ilk.
Two words come to mind.
Where do you lean? And he was just like, well, like socially, I'm a liberal, but economically, I'm a Republican. Fuck that. Okay. Also, he was a 28-year-old man. That's the first red flag, because if there's a 28-year-old man and he's single, there's a fucking reason that he's single.
What?
Yes, because the women around him is a fucking psychotic shitheads like you.
Oh, how old's this bitch? Because she looks like... Bitch, you look like you're pushing into your 40s. You got that fucking plastic fucking nose of yours. Only makes you look older.
I don't know. She's 35. I think we look about the same age. I think she looks like 35. Yeah, but like, I mean, if you're single at 28, it means there's something. I don't know. I'm saying she. Look, that's.
Welcome to the wonderful world of women, where there's so much fucking shellac goddamn makeup on, you can't tell what age they are. They all look 45.
I'm 35 and I'm single. I'm okay with it.
I don't. That's nonsensical. If a man is single, then there must be something wrong with him. Well, bitch, you're single, aren't you? Well, there's something wrong with you.
To me, that says the men she's used to dating are married.
Oh God, probably.
But anyways, so then I'm like, well, like, what makes you, economically Republican? Because, like, I could give you a whole bunch of fucking facts right now.
Oh, you could give me a bunch of facts. I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could give some facts. Economic facts, yes.
Prove that you shouldn't be. And he was like, all of his info is...
Oh, yeah.
No actual substance, then.
No, she didn't listen.
She's going to make it worse.
Because this is the thing that women do, where they ask a question, and they don't really care what you say because they already have pre-planned the conversation. It's called solipsistic interrejection. They've already planned the conversation in their head, including your response. So whatever you end up saying, and I'm saying this as a woman who engages in solipsistic interrejection, often against my will, it just happens. It's just our brains are wired that way.
You've done it in conversations with me.
I know.
It's every day.
And I try not to.
It's every day.
I mean, at least I'm aware of it, right? I mean,
it's every day.
I literally did a video about this, taking the piss out of you.
It's every day.
I'm sorry, I know I do it. I'm aware that I do it, but it's basically impossible to not, because it's innate. It's a woman brain thing.
When a woman comes to you and goes, "I like your opinion," it means I already have an answer. I just want you to reaffirm my opinion. That's what that means.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually, when I ask you your opinion on something, I genuinely am trying to get it.
No. I disagree because you're literally the opinion you're literally the example that I use in that video.
What would have I done that with you over?
I don't know, but it was quite a while ago. But I remember just doing a video on this, and the chat just went, "It's Aiden, isn't it?" I went, "Yeah, it is."
It was probably something with it had to have been. The only things we ever really disagree on is like the stupid Andrew Tate and what's her name?
No, this was like fucking 2 years
Pearl
ago.
Davis thing. I don't remember then. Who knows? Oh well. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let's go.
From his friends. And I was like, you get all your information from your fucking redneck friends. Obviously, you can't trust them. You need to do the research yourself. And if you do the research, I told him, I was like, I'll support you.
Translation, you need to listen to me, not all your friends.
Yeah.
Actually research it yourself. Like, I won't care if you're a Republican. But anyways, and so he was like, Zoe, I have much better things to do than research politics. Like, I have way more important things to do.
Yeah, he probably does.
That actually is the sane answer.
Yes. Luckily, unfortunately, as we have a perfect example here of what we're not dealing with as sanity.
Holy shit.
Rest in peace. Luckily, we had that section earlier. We primed everyone who had headphones that they were about to have a fucking bad time.
Yeah. Lady, yeah, most people really don't care about politics all the time. We do, because...
Can I just say, I don't actually think it's politics that ruined your relationship. I think it's because you're an insufferable cunt.
Yeah,
is the reason
you're
why
awful.
you've never. Yeah, you're just a shitty human being.
Actual harpy noises erupted from her maw.
Okay, saying that to me is absolutely fucking insane, but go off, King. I also just didn't care at that point. And so I put it on the back burner.
Are you suddenly
video?
Because she's seething in rage. Can't you tell how fucking angry she is? She is furious.
She's using this to try and twist the knife, try and get a bunch of approval from her fucking friends. Unfortunately for her, she's about to find out that everyone thinks she's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, because well, yeah. And many such cases.
Bitches.
I was like, I can't fucking take this right now. Well then...
True.
We get into a little spat. A couple days before Election Day. And we almost broke up.
This woman will cut your dick off. Like,
Translation,
this is the kind of woman who does that.
He was being... you disagreed with him, so you started throwing things.
Yeah.
This is the kind of bitch that would key your car.
She starts with keying the car. It ends with you getting your dick cut off and thrown in a bush.
As someone whose father's first wife stuck a butcher's knife through his arm as he slept, this is the exact bitch that you're dealing with here.
And so I was like, nah, it's fine. I'll give him one more chance, blah, 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 blah. Well, then Election Day rolls around, and, well, actually, before this, he was not registered to vote. He had never voted before, and he told me that he wanted to vote in this election, and I was like, okay, cool, do the research.
He said that because you're obsessed with politics, and he's trying to, and hopefully at least got to fuck you. I mean, I'm presuming if he's putting up
she
with
might
it
be
this
like
long.
insane in bed.
No, she's just fucking mental. I don't care how fucking crazy they are. Don't stick your dick in... Also, if you stick your dick in someone who looks like this, you're going to end up with fucking super AIDS from the vax.
Yeah, you can't see it because of her glasses, but she's got the Sanpaku eyes going on.
Research, but that's a whole other thing. And so the voter registration deadline was approaching. I could tell he was going to vote against me. Let's just say it like that.
He probably wasn't going to vote.
The entire...
Hold on a second. Wait, I got something. If he was going to vote against you... Why did you care?
Yeah.
Now, what this is a symptom of is everything in the world is about her. So it's not Republican and Democrat, or Lolbert, it is for me or against me.
Right.
It is.
But if it's against her and he was not going to vote, then why does she give a shit? I don't understand.
Because what it's really about is control. She wants to be able to control how he acts and behaves. And if she's starting with voting, which is, I would say, pretty significant thing to ask somebody you just started dating to vote for the first time and vote for your political ideology, your political side. That's a really big ask for someone that you're casually dating, which is what it sounds like this was. But of course, if she could win on that, imagine how far she'd take that. Completely have that guy's dick and balls in a vice. Because that's the whole point, is as much control over you as possible.
This kind of woman is the kind of one that would make me have like a switch in my house that if I pulled it like a fucking Scooby-Doo cartoon, like the wall switches, and there's just like a whole bunch of paraphernalia of like whips and chains and that kind of shit. And be like, that's really kinky. Like, no. This is to keep me sane and you to shut the fuck up.
Magrin Billis brings up a good point. They say, notice he was gonna vote against me, not I was gonna vote against him. Yes, good ear on that. Is that yes? It's all she's the center of the universe, and this was all about controlling him, dictating what he would do.
Anyone who would indulge in that behavior is a psychopath and should probably be locked up in a fucking asylum.
Yeah.
He is not going to make an educated decision on who he votes for, so guess what? I'm not going to remind him of this.
Yes, so you get to make the decision for him.
Now I remember why this pissed me off.
Yeah, we jumped the gun a little bit in getting it, or I did the this is control shit.
It says something when something makes Spoon so angry he blacks out.
Yeah, he blacked out. Oh no. Soon it'll be okay.
Voter registration deadline. So then it passed. He didn't register to vote, so there we go. It was saved. He wasn't going to vote. I wouldn't have to deal with it then. But then we got into that.
You wanted him to be involved in politics in the first place. You were the one who started this, and then you're happy that what you wanted didn't happen.
As long as he supports my side.
As long as right.
No, what she meant is I want 2 votes.
Yes, that is what it means. Is that I want 2 votes.
Or considering how she fucks around, I assume probably more like 6 or 7.
Well, I mean, as long as it's one extra one, that's the whole thing. It's not just control, it's about
one
power.
extra one describes a fucking chromosome level, Aiden.
All fucking power, yeah.
Spat, and I was like, let me try one more time. Let me see if he's learned anything from me. And I asked him, point blank on election day, I'm like, so who would you have voted for if you would have voted in this election? He was like, I would have voted independent. And I was like, do you know that how harmful and basically wasteful that is? And also, like, check your privilege by saying you're going to vote independently.
Okay. I first encountered this person in real life when I was 18 years old. I encountered this exact person making this exact argument. I was going through... Was it 18?
No, you should specify, do you mean sort of this exact ilk or literally this person?
No, yes, of this ilk.
Because you say this exact person, people are going to say, "Oh shit, you actually know this dumb bitch."
No. The same model, make and model. Yeah. Okay, I was hanging up these little.
They're white, Bill.
Oh no, I'm sorry. This was not when I was 18.
All of them.
I was 21.
I'm watching you out there.
I was 21, and it was the second Obama election cycle. And I was the sole member of Campus Libertarians, and I was going around campus hanging up these little Gary Johnson, and they were like, vote or it's like, check out Gary Johnson, there's a third option. Very cringe, pathetic stuff. But I was just hanging these little door hangers up for the Johnson campaign, because I was, again, the only person in Campus Libertarians. And some woman came up to me, furious, just like this, and made those exact arguments at my face. It's like, oh my god, if you would take one vote away from Obama, don't you understand how important it is that he's the first black man president? Like, he's already been president. So, like, I remember I'd never encountered someone so insane in my face in public ever before that. And I grew up in Baltimore, where there's crazy homeless people everywhere. It was less just this directed rage.
And now they are the average person on the left.
I know. I was so flabbergasted. I mean, that's how, like, the indelible to my hippocampus that memory is, that I so vividly... Because she, like, chased me down the hall. I mean, not literally, but she kept following me. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just go canvass in another dorm to try and get away from... It wasn't in mine. And just so bizarre. Just yeah, same thing, same argument, which I don't get. First of all, if he wasn't going to vote in the first place, you then encourage him to vote. So if he votes independent, nothing has changed in this equation whatsoever.
No.
And he was like, wow, Zoe, I cannot believe that you think my vote would have been a waste. Ah! Shut the fuck up, because it is a waste.
This is the new direwolf that they they made in the lab.
Look at fucking Philadelphia. All those independent voters could have put us over the edge and could have helped Kamala win. That's another story. And so I was like trying to tell him.
It was a landslide election.
You realize that's one fucking state.
Yeah.
I'm
one vote.
No.
This woman is so solipsistic that she thinks that only her state matters and only she matters.
That's how self-centered she is. Actually, the center of the universe. That's crazy.
Good rule of thumb: if a woman screams like this,
out of control narcissism.
Straight sectioned on the spot, like mentally sectioned on the fucking spot.
She acts like a 12-year-old Debony Doombringer because she's never been expected to be an adult her entire life.
That's probably when she started putting out in Arrested Development.
Oof. Jesus. Let's go. Oh man, 12. Come on, dude.
Whoa.
Listen, that's harmful. You have to make a decision because the way that our vote.
I mean, that's getting diddled, dude. Like, way.
It's
but then again, she's psychotic, so I'm gonna say she is psychotic, so, you know, they can line up with trauma.
Voting works, like the two-party system is a fucking joke. You have to pick a side. The independent party never has a chance, so you have to pick a side. And we got into a huge argument about it, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. This is my last straw.
Those of you out there, if the gentleman question's out there, I wish you good luck on your domestic battery court case because she's just handed you a win.
Yeah. Look, and the thing is that if he's gonna vote for, look, first of all, I don't think he was gonna vote in the first place. All of this stuff is just some guy, he wants to smash. Hopefully he at least got to smash this, and it was good.
She does make me want to smash, but it's not her vagina that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, because it's obvious to me. I don't think this is. I don't think that this is particularly insightful. That this guy just wanted her to shut up, and he was like, "Yeah, honey, whatever. You want me? Sorry, I don't know anything about politics. I'm not interested. Oh, you want me to vote? Oh, you don't want me to vote unless I inform myself." He's just trying to acquiesce to whatever the fuck stupid shit she's asking, and then. He can't do anything right. It's like there's just a no-win scenario for the guy.
Again, I'm a very liberal woman.
I can tell.
I have to date someone that is on the same page as me because I can't disagree with someone.
Then why did you? Then you should have just broken up with him the second that you found out he didn't have your exact political opinions.
But no, this is someone who believes earnestly that they're the only person who can ever be right, and that they will try to convert people.
Instead she tried to change him. You know.
On something that is so important to me for the rest of my life.
Politics.
Yes.
I fully.
Did she say that at the beginning? I thought she said that she does care.
No, that's just what I'm hearing her say.
We respect Republicans. I understand that you want to vote that way, but for me, I don't want to marry you and I don't want to date you. So.
Oh please.
Then why the fuck did you ask, you stupid bitch?
This bitch is not going to looking to get married anyway, unless she's literally worn it out so much she's got no more use for it.
Oof.
Every nerve ending is burned out. Yeah, I can settle down now, I guess.
Oof. So, we've got annoying black lady. That was actually not supposed to be there first. But here is your favorite annoying black lady. Spoon. It's Jasmine Crockett. Hey, there she is. You mentioned it earlier, right? Or someone did. So I was like, yeah, I got Jasmine Crockett because she's back at it again.
Who let her into a church? Do they not know the fire hazard?
So you told me today that you asked ChatGPT to explain why Jasmine Crockett is retarded. That's actually, I think, exactly what you asked it. You sent me the response.
Yeah, the response at first was not in favor, but it did boil down rather well that her policies are shit, and it actually admitted that their policies are bad, which is quite funny.
Yeah, I told you the thing about the AI, which I also got a subscription to ChatGPT, because one, it's useful for the, podcast, so that we stream whatever, so that we can do. It's easier to make the AI images than me going through and photoshopping them. Just being clear about it, and I've been integrating it into my videos. So, yep. What was the point though? Oh, is that the AI will? I find that it's very good at communication accommodation. It mimics it, and it does like what you expect or want it to do.
I'm going for a piss. Come with me.
Okay. Let's perfect time to play Jasmine Crockett, who is confirmed by AI retarded.
Educate people
the
about
said so.
What immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now.
Loud.
Because if she's loud, that means confidence. That means right.
God, Jesus.
If I say something loud enough and sound like MLK, it truly must be truth. You know, it's always that shit.
Fucking hell. And also, someone might want to tell us
they
this.
They all do this, too.
By the way, can I just say that the first people to this country, they were not immigrants, they were settlers. The immigrants is what you would describe the slave class that came fucking afterwards.
Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not.
Serious.
You're not. We done picking cotton.
Okay.
We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
I know that's right.
So
this is about the tariffs, by the way. Wasn't it? Oh, she said, yeah, I thought it was related to the tariffs. No, it's just about immigration. She was just talking about immigration. We're done picking cotton. Okay.
I do not want women in politics, and like this is like the post child for why I believe that.
I presume that you have seen the footage of her from before she ran for office. I think we covered it on stream, didn't we? Excuse me.
Which she sounds like Candace Owens.
She sounds like a normal person. She doesn't sound ghetto. But so all of this, we done picking cotton. That is entirely put on. It's a fabrication. It's acting. So this acting stupid stuff. It's all just part of her little show, little political theater. And then this one was funny though. She admitted she was a DEI hire.
Yeah.
She is very stupid, to be fair. She's
dumb as fuck.
But you don't have to be particularly smart to be a passing actor, and that's all she is. She's distractionary because we're paying attention to her right now. Look, it works. I'm paying you attention. It works. I mean, I'm making fun of it, but ultimately, in terms of setting the agenda, it fucking works. And with saying that, let's watch her admit to being a DEI hire.
Gracious, is this. When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. I say because you've been great.
That's because you are.
Yeah. No, I don't really believe this story, obviously. But... I don't know. Speaking of something I don't know about, I put this in the It's All So Tiresome segment. Did you ever... I asked Trump about this, if you ever figured this out. This was really weird. So, allegedly, Kenny Smith, leader of the Homeland Party, is working undercover for Hope Not Hate. Hope Not Hate appeared to have gotten hold of a third-party phone number, which was used as a one-off phone to Homeland leader Kenny Smith. I don't know if this is fake or not.
This is like the UK version of the Signal fucking debacle.
Yes, and it's interesting. I was thinking the exact same thing, and it happened around the exact
Roughly
same time.
the same time. Strange.
Homeland is gaining a lot of support at the same period of time as well. I don't know what to make of Homeland. I think I said the only other time that we've talked about it. I like what they say they represent, but I'm, as always, extremely skeptical.
But that's the thing, like, I don't buy this shit. Like,
no, I read through their manifesto.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, any politician. Because I like what they say. Yeah, that's their fucking job. Their job is to appeal to you. So I don't believe any of these fucking people when their job is just to make me like them. That's how I know you're fake, when your job requires you to be fake. Like, why the fuck?
Sure.
That's the thing. Whenever someone just says, well, these politicians are not authentically themselves. They're not supposed to fucking be. They're supposed to represent you. Of course they're going to say shit that appeals to you. That's their fucking gig.
Well, sure. Here it is. And actually, that perfectly ties it into what's her face? Damn. What's that
Crockett.
dumb bitch's name again? Crockett. Who also she's just acting like that and saying those kinds of things to appeal to a very specific demographic.
Yes.
To appeal to her base.
My voting base is retarded. Guess what I'm gonna
does.
sound like? Retarded. Guess who appeals to that? The retards. Like no shit.
Yes. And so yes, I've in addition, I've been hesitant and skeptical about how I felt about Homeland, which again gaining a huge amount of support following reform shooting itself in the foot. Anywho, here's the little thing.
Hello.
Oh, hello. I just got a voicemail from this number.
Yes, hello, Paul.
Hello, who am I speaking to?
It's oh,
Spit
sorry,
it out. Spit it out.
Sorry, Paul. It's Jimmy Maguire from Hope Not Hate.
Jimmy Maguire from Hope Not Hate.
Yes.
Okay. You're asking about Kenny Smith?
Yes, we've just been keeping an eye on X recently, and we noticed the spats, and obviously we're interested.
Okay, 1 second. 1 second. Let me stop you there. Okay?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question before we proceed.
Yes.
I rang Kenny Smith last night and spoke to him about his Nazi tattoo on his chest, yes?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. I didn't ring him off my phone.
Okay.
I rang him off Ashley's phone, which is the phone that you rang.
Okay.
How the fuck did you get Ashley's number, the same one I rung Kenny on? Unless he's given it to you and you've rung Ashley's phone looking for me, even though I rung him off Ashley's phone. You weren't to know that.
Well, I'm afraid it's information we have from previous sources, but...
Yeah, I know exactly, yeah. I know exactly how you got it, because Kenny Smith gave it to you. You bunch of absolute treacherous fucking wrong-uns.
Well, we haven't...
We've got you banged to rights, you
I'm back from the pisser, what happened?
Hold on a second. That was so aggressively English, and then just like very, very modest.
Treacherous wrong-uns.
Yes, like treacherous wrong-un. Like call him a fucking cunt or a wanker or something.
No,
like,
it's actually to be called a wrong-un is all.
That is way better. What are you talking about?
That is questioning the inherent nature of someone's character. That's far. Like you can call someone a cunt all day. It doesn't really mean anything. The Australians take it as a fucking compliment.
True.
But if you call someone a wrong-un, there's no ambiguity. You're calling them a bunch of morally bankrupt retards. Like you are saying you are genetically predestined to be a fuck up and be a fucking mental degenerate.
Yeah, you're incapable of escaping the.
You are genetically incapable of being a good person.
Idiots. We've got you banged to rights, you moron.
There we go.
That was an absolute.
So I'm not.
That's an absolute quirk of fate last night that I didn't have any reception, so I rang off Ashley's phone and recorded it on my phone. We're doing exactly the same thing right now.
Okay.
There's no reason for you. If you were looking for me, you'd be ringing my phone. But you're ringing the number that we rang Kenny from last night, which is Ashley's phone. It's not my phone. You've been caught bang to rights. You absolute scumbags. Now fuck off and go and jump off a bridge.
There we go. There we go.
That is the most okay. I will say that man's man's benefit is not in question. That is the most aggressively Anglo thing I've ever heard in my fucking life. That is pure strain, like pre-crisis Bethnal Green fucking sentences.
There we go. Went from wrong into fuck off, jump off a bridge. Just magnificent. Like that. There we go.
0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for.
That throw on the fucking Football Factory soundtrack in the background. Just really bring it up.
You know the meme when it's like, now fuck off. Like, there you go. Like,
bunch of fucking muggy little cunts.
Certainly seems to be an interesting coincidence, right? How else did this guy get this private phone number? That was not his phone number. That it really I've not seen any confirmation. I asked him about it. He's not heard anything either. So who knows? But certainly,
folks at home, there are some sketchy motherfuckers operating in the industry right now. Be very bloody careful who you associate with. Do most of your work at home. Do grassroots stuff. Work with people who live near you, who you know you can trust. Have them bring in people who they know they can trust. Yes. Don't fuck about with some of these people who might be feds.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want only deal with people that you know where they live. Good rule of thumb.
That Speaking sounds kind of terrifying. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's just if I deal with Jimmy, he lives down my road. I know where Jimmy lives. So if he fucks about, I know where Jimmy lives. I know where he sleeps. True. I know the layout of his house. And when I find out Jimmy fucks up, I'll know how to creep up to his stairs and smother him with a fucking pillar. Beat him with phone books for the rest of his fucking miserable life.
Remind me not to get on your bad side, Bill.
Yeah. Before we get into people,
get the mace.
Deals being done behind closed doors, or potential deals being done behind closed doors politically. Yeah. This is my only other bit of UK news, which is Kemi Badenoch just shit talking Starmer. And I was just reading this earlier. They're gonna fucking try to make her PM. I just the glazing that, I mean, this is Daily Express, but the amount of fucking glazing that I have seen going on for Kemi Badenoch is
almost as bad as you 2 years ago.
I know. I didn't know how bad she was. I didn't know that this was all fucking set
up. You're looking at a sex appeal, fuck off. Stop.
You have terrible taste.
Yeah, you have terrible taste in women.
Right. I may have made some mistakes.
And you will continue to make them.
Yeah, true.
God,
okay, but deals done behind closed doors. We got this. This is interesting. Netanyahu pushes back on anti-Israel trends in meeting with podcasters.
Everyone involved in this, noose.
Yes.
Israeli Prime Minister largely avoided questions about Iran's nuclear program, viewing it as a sensitive subject. Oh.
Jeez, I wonder why.
Piss off. Do I have to? Just
F11 and delete aspect.
Yeah. Oh, what? Can I delete it? I hate when they do this. What? F11's full screen. How do I get rid of this?
Okay, on Windows 7, if you hit F11, you can bring up the HTML code and just delete that.
Oh, I forget. Oh, crap. Now I forget how to do those.
You can Control 7.
There we go. There we go. It didn't give me that problem earlier, which was I was like, oh, great, this was unexpected.
Israeli Prime Minister,
this afternoon.
Number 5644. Tried to push back against anti-Israel trends in right-wing media. Well, no, actually, there's a lot of anti-Israel sentiment in the left-wing world as well.
We should cut down the anti-Semitism. Number 6,610,000.
Yeah. Which is totally not a number pulled out of thin air. Let's see. By a brief meeting on Monday with the Blair House. That's already sketchy as shit. For podcasters and other media figures, sources in the meeting told a Jewish insider.
What did you get scared by Blair House thinking about the Dark Lord?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Second.
Yes, you should.
Yes. Among those in attendance were podcasters including Dave Rubin. I'm not fucking surprised by that at fucking all.
Oh, that one's to be expected. That one 100% to be expected.
Yes, Tim Pool and former White House press secretary Sean Spicer. Writers Bethany Mandel and David J. Harris Jr., influencer Jessica Krause. Just the fucking... I can tell you are fucking Jewish by your fucking surnames.
Well, there's two Mandels. Bethany Mandel and Seth Mandel. No relation. I don't know.
And Federalist editor Molly Hemingway. Goddamn, Molly. Why?
Yeah.
And the Federalist is
I know what I said. I'm sticking by it. Wrote for everyone.
In addition to Netanyahu, his diplomatic advisor, Ophir Falk. It sounds like...
So Ophir Falk is almost certainly a Mossad handler.
Yes, and Israeli ambassador to the U.S. I can't read what the fuck that says.
It says, Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Yakel Leiter, were present at the Israeli side.
It's Pool expressed concern about the increased anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism in the pro-Trump podcasting space. Why?
Ophir Falk is a fellow at the International Institute of Counterterrorism. He is 100% spook.
Mossad. According to sources in the room, Pool famously had Kanye West on his podcast, and the rapper walked out mid-interview after Pool pushed back against anti-Semitism comments. Yeah, that's because Kanye made him look good.
So before we continue, I really do need to chime in with this. Ophir Falk's book is called Targeted Killings, Law and Counterterrorism.
Whoa, what a fucking title.
How does fair play pay off? So this guy's literally written the book on blackbagging people.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, just overtly bloodthirsty as fuck.
He's Mossad. He's probably really high up in Mossad,
true,
if not like a...
True.
Responding to Paul, Netanyahu said that is the reason he invited the group to meet with him. The idea that Kanye West made Netanyahu meet Tim Pool is fucking hilarious, though. That is funny as shit. Like, come on. Admit it. That's gold.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, my God. Okay.
Atari opt to manipulate sexual... Oh, social media. Social media algorithms to make anti-Semitism and anti-Israel episodes appear to receive an outside number of views in order to incentivize podcasters and YouTubers to produce more anti-Semitic content. Fuck it, Tim, I know you're obsessed with the algorithm, but there's those of us that have pattern recognition going on over 1,000 fucking years, Beanie Boy. Fucking hell.
I'm surprised that Tim did this after... I mean, it was just a couple of months ago. It's not even... I don't even think it's been a full year that he had... Remember he had the ties to... What was that media company that also had... That ended up being funded by the Russian government?
Oh,
I don't remember what the name of the company was.
Not the why. Something with a T. Tenet Media, something like that, wasn't it?
Tenet Media, which had been funded by the Russians, and that did a lot of damage, I think, to his reputation, because once you get seen as taking money or influence from foreign powers, I don't know how you come back from that credibility-wise, because now no one can trust anything that you say isn't bought and paid for.
I mean, that's literally everyone, though. Like, you do a job you're bought and paid for.
Yeah. I guess so, to a certain degree. But, I mean... But for someone like Tim, being independent media is a big part of his brand. Is that, no, I'm outside of the corruption.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. That's his brand.
Sure.
It's a slogan. It's not real.
I know Tim. I like Tim.
He screams Civil War constantly. How the fuck is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, I like Tim on a personal level. I don't agree with him politically all the time. Obviously, the Civil War catastrophizing and apocalypse doomsaying stuff is complete distractionary nonsense. I know he's convinced of it, or seems to be.
Beanie Man.
Yeah, but it absolutely is ridiculous. The idea of a hot civil war in current year is so patently absurd. It's not happening.
He's been forever ruined for me by Scrump's based speech that he did on my Twitter. That's forever pinned. Where it just goes, the idea that there's a civil war brewing is retarded. Like, you've seen this. America is
the word retarded a lot. That's been the theme.
Passive.
Oh, right. Yes, I remember that tweet.
It's such a good fucking line. It's like, you will do nothing because you are 400 pounds and you ride in a rascal. You're a dysgenic mass of mulatto people. It's like, Jesus Christ, Scrump. Like, fucking base shit.
Based.
Like, to call the entire group of people, like, you're a dysgenic mass of mulatto people. Like, you are a failing empire that has nothing left to contribute. I'm like, if Scrum was ever the general in an army, I'm like, that's the dude I follow, because that's some base shit right there. Like, straight up, like, that's like leadership energy right there. It is. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, that's the kind of shit that you expect someone to say and just like, fuck democracy, that's the guy I'm following. Why? Fuck your voting and your I appeal to me. No. That guy just
I wasn't anticipating. I don't think he's in the chat to hear you proclaim your undying loyalty to your liege.
But, like, that's what you expect a leader to sound like, to say some shit like that. Because that's ballsy and honest. Like, we don't hear anyone say that kind of shit. Because it's true.
Oh, my God.
It is also really funny.
It's really I think you were glazing just a little bit.
Yeah, but tell me that isn't true. Like, what would you rather have? Like, someone who appeals to everyone, or someone who just says some shit like that and go like, yeah, that's what you want someone to sound like.
Sure, but that will not make you popular, which will inherently mean that most people will never hear your message. You know, particularly when you go against so many conventions. So. I mean, hilarious, based and
funny
accurate,
as shit,
but
though,
still.
though.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, where were we? No, Bill, don't worry. It wasn't about the Jews. Bill was upset. He thought he was missing Jew talk. Okay, what you... don't know if we have anything else to add. Because I asked Bill to go get me some allergy pills. Because I don't think. Don't worry about it, Bill. Don't worry about it. he's like, where are they? Where are they? He's doing downstairs.
In the tunnels.
He's down in the tunnels. Let's just continue the article, okay?
Iran and Yahoo said wants to destroy both the U.S. and Israel. Dude, Iran couldn't give a flying shit. It's just because like you're constantly screaming that we're going to attack Iran, we're going to attack Iran. It's much like fucking Russia and Ukraine. Like if you constantly scream and fucking eye them someone, like sharpening a knife or looking at them in a scary fucking manner, like eventually if they attack you, you can't just go, oh my goodness, that was so unexpected. Like, no, motherfucker, you've been eyeing them sharpening a knife for like the last 30 fucking years. And you're saying that, oh look, these people are at an existential dread to us. Like, yeah, that might be the reason I get kind of cagey around you.
True.
Like, fucking hell, man.
I'm still looking for my film.
We can just behave in a threatening manner to everybody else, and then when we attack, it's like, oh no, that's just what we do. And when they attack, oh my god, how dare you attack us? Like we didn't do anything to you. Like motherfucker, yes you did.
Oh my god, I was scrolling through Twitter or something. I think it was Twitter earlier, and I saw it was a tweet that said like, can anyone name a famous shipwreck that's not the Titanic? And I went into the thread because I was gonna make a USS Liberty joke. And it was none. I scrolled. It was like a huge. Just out of curiosity, I looked at it to see like, oh, this is gonna be full of USS Liberty jokes, right? Nowhere. I was shocked. There's no fun allowed zone.
Well, it's because, USS Liberty is not a shipwreck.
No, it was about ships that had sunk for some famous ship sinking, right? Yeah, Lusitania probably is the second like most famous, but I just wanted to say USS Liberty because I thought it was open for the joke. Yeah, nothing though, but that's actually not surprising, I suppose. I just thought new Twitter, considering that the reason why Netanyahu wanted to meet with him is because he got frustrated with Kanye West when he was on the show. Okay, where were we then?
Oh god, I just realized. That's so underhanded.
What?
I wanted to meet with you because you were subjected to Kanye West.
Yes, because he pushed back against Kanye West.
That's so fucking slimy. That makes me hate Netanyahu even more.
Hang on one second.
You dirty fucking prick. Oh god, that's disgustingly slimy. And so opportunistic. Like, oh, what a fucking asshole. Gross.
Sorry, we did a big cleanup the other day of just like, and I think we might have thrown away all my. I haven't been drinking I haven't had a drink in 3 months. It's been.
That doesn't mean the bottle's on there, Aiden.
No. Why would there be? No.
You sound very nervous right now, like I'm calling you out.
I haven't had a drink in 3 fucking months, dude.
But I'm not saying that. I'm saying the bottles are still there.
No.
Anyway, there's no empty bottles?
No, the point is that I accidentally threw in my last thing of fucking allergy pills. That's what I was saying.
Are you telling me there's no empty bottles around you?
Bill, are there any empty bottles? No. Can you say it? Go downstairs and say it in your microphone.
I don't know, why did you say that?
Well, because now you're being weirdly accusatory towards me, which is not very nice.
Well, yeah, because you wouldn't answer the question.
Oh, did you? Oh, shit. Are there any actual pills in there? Just like, it's really hard. If I get allergies, it's really hard for me to talk. And there's no pills in it. Yeah. Okay. Oh well.
Fine.
Okay. Well, sorry, Bill. Just go. Just forget about it, Bill. I'll get through it. I'm just gonna have to mute myself for a couple seconds when I have to clear my throat. Okay.
That's fine.
Let's let's go back from here.
You don't sound like a chimney being molested when you clear your throat, so you'll be fine.
Well, you start from here because I'm not going to be able to talk as much from now on.
Let's see, the pool asked if there was a Qatari op to manipulate social media algorithms to make anti-Semitic and anti-Israel episodes appear to receive an outside number of views to incentivize podcasters and YouTubers to produce more anti-Semitic content. Like, no. Maybe it's just because that sells. Maybe that's just organic. Because...
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Netanyahu, however, was non-committal in his response, saying only that it's possible. Yes, because you are not winning the PR war, considering you're openly doing a genocide. That'll be the reason why. The Prime Minister emphasized in the context of Qatar as well as Iran that Israel and the US share the same adversaries. No, they fucking don't. The US gains fucking nothing by supporting you or attacking Iran. Everyone knows this. There's no strategic advantage attacking fucking Ukraine either. I mean, there is for Russia because they're neighbors and, NATO's on their fucking doorstep. And America does not have a good foreign policy. Yeah. America is not a trustworthy person on the world stage. As a matter of fact,
Of course not.
No, Americans are a bunch of cunts on the world stage. I'm not apologizing for that. You guys are. You have a horribly bad, terrible reputation for being dishonest.
Well, that's the thing is that Tim asked an interesting question, that it was a Qatari op, as if it's not an op to also create controlled opposition. Because if the more anti-Semitic content, quote-unquote, that you have, the more you can play victim.
Oh, of course, that's the bread and butter of them. Hemingway and Netanyahu several questions about Israel's planned response to the Iran nuclear threat. Iran is not a nuclear threat.
No, not seriously.
Iran has not made a nuclear weapon. Like, you ask any of the old CIA dudes, like, no, they never did. Hasn't for fucking ages. They dismantled the program and they're like hyper-regulated. Like, up the fucking ass. Like, no, they're not a nuclear weapon, and they have no intention of making one either. Including whether
Even if
Israel
they did have one, though, I don't think you could anticipate
that
they wouldn't be willing to use it.
Including whether Israel wants a ground war with Iran, and whether Israel expects America to help in such a war.
But the answer to that is yes, obviously.
Yes. Netanyahu said that Israel has never asked America to put boots on the ground in its defense, and it does not plan to. Yeah, just give us everything else aside from fucking troops.
Yes, it doesn't have to.
Yeah, just give us the guns, the ammunition, the uniforms, the missiles, the tanks, literally everything fucking
aircraft,
else but the boots on the ground.
To drop, and the bombs, everything, and the funding. Yeah, and subsidize us.
Yeah, we could just drain the U.S. taxpayer.
Which is exactly what we do. Yes. What has been going on for a very long time.
Yes, the Prime Minister also said that it is.
So would you not want to kick up a bunch of anti-Israel sentiment, or excuse me, as well, so that you can create this divide, this little circus in public? I'm saying they play both sides. That's how propaganda works. You want to create both pro and anti-propaganda. In order to get it talked about.
As long as you kneel and kiss the ring spoon. I would rather bow down and kiss the ring of a king than kiss the feet of all of you fucking peasants under the guise that you are somehow my equal. Fuck off.
Oh, spicy. Whoa, dude. Fucking El Degusto, why do you catch strays like that? What do you do?
No, not just him. That's just fucking everyone. No, in democracy we're all equal. No, we fucking aren't. I am better than a shitload of you. And the king is a better man than I.
Mean to the audience?
No, that's just not members of the audience. That's just people in general.
Oh, okay. It was a royal.
Are you telling me you don't see a whole bunch of people? Have you never been in a room with a whole bunch of people and go, "I am literally the best person here"? Like, you've never done that?
I mean,
there you go.
I'm the best person? No.
No, in the
room. I'm maybe smarter than everybody else there. Yeah.
Yes.
But that doesn't necessarily make me. When you say better, that's such a generalized term.
No, there's definitely been rooms I've been in, like, Jesus fucking Christ, I'm surrounded by retards.
Yes.
I've been on fucking Discord calls where I think this. Like, if everyone else but me were to disappear from this conversation right now, it would be better.
You're so bully in the chat.
Fucking assholes. Guess who I'm reading about?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the noticing.
Bill, come back to the stream. You have to look for the pills.
I'm awake now.
Although Spoon's awake and angry. If you could have gone next door and asked, but like, don't worry about it. Okay.
Don't worry, Harold. I often think that as well. Don't worry about it. Okay. This is the thing. Okay, can I just ramble on something for a second?
Okay. You go ahead. We're still waiting for Bill, so you go ahead and you read, and then I'll read.
No. This is not about the reading thing. The whole narcissism thing. I've had people ask me this before. Basically, when they come to me and go, "You've opened my mind about things in politics." Basically, they come to me and go, "You've made me connect the dots and things that I couldn't quite articulate, but I can now, and now I can't talk to regular people." Like, basically, I was the Morpheus to their Neo, and they come to me and go, "How do I talk to normal people now?" And I always say, "If you can answer that question, feel free to tell me, because I don't have the answer to that question." And then they start looking around and go,
that's why they call it the red pill, I mean, that is why they call it that. Is that you can't really go back.
But you guys have to realize that once you see this kind of shit, you probably are smarter than most people in the room. So you have to have a bit of an ego, and then after a while you have to recognize you're going to be around stupid people, and you shouldn't engage because they're just too dumb to understand. Like I know that sounds really arrogant, but if you've been in a room with stupid people, then you fucking know this. You know there's moments where you go, you have no brain, and the ceiling, I can see it, and the smartest thing would be to not waste my time. Really.
Well, Logical Wanker for 5 says, "Hey Spoon, I have a bone to pick with you."
What did you just say his name was?
The Logical Male.
I could have swore you just said Logical Wanker.
Did I say Wanker? I think I did. Where did I read
that's
that at?
That's a great name, by the way.
Oh, because he puts the word wanker in it later. Logical Wanker would be a great name. I'm sorry, man. It's just, you wrote wanker in all caps, and my brain just filtered it out. Sorry.
That's
Logical
a great
Male
name,
said,
Logical Wanker.
God damn it. My fucking... Let me Spoon, I have a bone to pick with your commentary on Tate. Was just gobbledygook, word salad, and never made your point, you wanker. There was where the wanker came into it. I watched your video on it. I gave my long commented response. I don't know if you wanted to address that, though, since Bill's still... Well, he's still trying to locate the allergy.
Well, considering nobody else said that except only him, I'm going to think it's his problem. Like, there's an example of a stupid person that I can't engage.
All right. Thanks you for the 5,
by the way.
Truddle for 2 says...
Thanks for the 5, but that's where it's going to end.
Truddle for 2 says, Giga Chat, build a Bible. I think I did cover that. Thank you, Truddle. Slosher gave 5 gifted subs, Broken Ground memberships. Thank you, man. Vinny the D for 5 says, Andrew Bronca of Law of Self-Defense did a breakdown on the police report. Provocation with intent is his thesis. This was... We're going back to the... Metcalf. Okay. I don't know if I trust Bronca anymore. I gotta be really... Bronca has said... Look, Andrew Bronca is one of the certainly most famous criminal defense attorneys, and specifically, he worked on the Kyle Rittenhouse case in some capacity. But sometimes some of his takes on, let's say, the Nick Rekieta situation in particular were okay.
Was he pro cocaine? Oh, tell me that wasn't a joke.
It was like those kids should be cleaning up after themselves.
Isn't the oldest
one
like 14?
I literally did what Mr. Rich Low Rich. I don't know what I literally did. Sorry. Yeah, not sure about Bronca though. But I'm sure that on an unrelated thing, it might be useful to look at why the provocation with intent was his thesis. I'll check that out then. Gary Thomas for 10 says, Hi, Triumphant Trio. I deliberately avoided the Metcalf story because I saw who was involved and I thought, yep, it's a talking monkey using extreme violence to solve a minor problem. How right was I? I don't know if you sat through, but yep, that was pretty much exactly what happened. Yes, minor... Thank you. Bill finally found some allergy pills. I'm so sorry. All right.
Bill, get back here. We're doing noticing.
He is returning.
Yes, we need more noticing.
Where were we?
To quote Kirsche, the noticing will continue until conditions improve.
All right, so let's continue the noticing. Here we go. Spoon, where were we?
Iran Netanyahu said wants to destroy both the U.S. and Israel. No, they fucking don't. Like, I'm sorry, but the idea that Iran is somehow going to tangle with America is fucking retarded. How is Iran going to do shit to America? With this has been and what do they have to gain?
You know, I was really, really curious, right, when it became clear that the woke was going away. Obviously, it's got to be replaced with something. It's got to be replaced with some new brain rot to distract, some distractionary. Yes, and it appears that it's return to 9/11.
That's further than this. This is the Iran-Contra.
Which they've done before. I mean, obviously, 9/11 was. Oh yeah. 9/11 was a massive power grab, though, and again, got
as per usual, Israelis are involved.
Yeah, of course.
That was my point. Yeah. Anywho, let's go from here. Hemingway, did we read that one?
Do I have to?
The reality is
I've been yelling for the past
okay. That's true. Iran was not going to destroy the U.S. and Israel. That's complete falsity, but that's a weapons of mass destruction type argument, is what I'm saying. Hemingway asked Netanyahu several questions about Israel's planned response to the Iran nuclear threat, including whether Israel wants a ground war with Iran and whether Israel expects America to help fight such a war. Yes, we got that. Sorry. Netanyahu said that Israel has never asked America to put boots on the ground. Wait, we already read this.
Hey, remember when Iran had this was doing this exact thing in like 2004?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're always fucking doing it. But this would be the pivot, and it's why you're hearing so much talk about how we need funding for military, because obviously.
Please ignore the fact we have that America has the biggest military-industrial complex on the planet.
A surefire and consistent tactic. Let's see, where was I?
More money for the biggest industry on the planet.
Here's Tim Pool's response.
Here. I got late word that I was invited to a private roundtable meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It was under what's called Chatham House rules. For those that are not familiar, this means that you cannot reveal anybody who attended, nor attribute anything to any one individual, as they can deny it, and they would. However, what I love about what the White House is currently doing, when you bring together a bunch of influencers and podcasters who don't know much about journalism culture, whatever you want to call it, not that we respect it tremendously, most people didn't know what Chatham House meant. So with all due respect, it's funny because they bring us into the Blair House, which is where Netanyahu was staying. And immediately people are walking around with their cameras, their phones up. They actually took our phones from us. And I legit thought they would maintain Chatham House rules, meaning you can't quote the prime minister, you can't quote his officials and the other people who were there, but you can report what was said generally. If you wanted an official quote on a specific matter, you would then ask an official once the meeting was wrapped, and they'd provide you the exact quote. Or they would just say outright, like, we ain't putting our quotes on that one.
So, admits to it.
And admits to it being so widespread that it's an industry term.
Right. Well, yeah.
Which, when I think journalism, I definitely think of saying precisely what a foreign nation's government tells you to say. Bunch of fucking
no, these rule sets. You're speaking about
Yeah. If it's so widespread, I'm sorry, but you don't hate journalists enough.
You think you do, but you don't. You might think, I think I hate journalists enough. You never do. You never do.
Never enough.
Again, I think this is it's a strike against some of Tim's credibility. That he's just admitting to it and not seeing that why it would make some people think that there's a potential conflict of interest, right? I'm not saying there is necessarily, but
the thing is, I don't think this is a knock on Tim's credibility, and I'll tell you why. Because, no offense to Tim, somewhat offense, is I don't think of Tim as someone who has an ideological bent. I think he will just say whatever gets the biggest audience. I think he's just like going for mass appeal.
No.
So,
I don't agree at all.
Well, I just stopped myself from saying because I didn't want to step on all the.
You don't think he has an ideological bend? Like, I don't think he does.
No. I was going to say I don't think this questions his credibility because I don't think he's ever had any.
Yeah, or that. Yeah.
I don't think Tim is trying to appeal to the largest number of people. If he was trying to do that, he would shift way more with the winds of change.
He has.
There's a reason his nickname is Fence Jockey.
He's always straddling the fence, right? But I feel like he would have been like a far lefty
allows
before.
You to hear both sides. That's the point.
Let's just we all agree, of course, that the term
and he of course voted for
nonsense.
Trump because more people support Trump now than before, so naturally.
I think Tim, having met him multiple times, is actually genuinely really passionate about journalism. I think he, as a person, that's what he cares about. He cares about journalism.
People are saying
other stuff can get in the way. Yeah, people have been saying that. But I wasn't. Well, I saw it once.
Well, there you go, then.
One. Whoa.
Jesus, wow.
Noticeable.
Holy shit. Holy crap. Now I gotta turn you down.
It's only a little bit, Jesus.
Whoa, no, not on my side. Ooh, I actually turned you down. Okay. Where was I? After I got ear raped. Okay,
there we go.
What are next? What are next? Where did I put the thingy? Now I'm discombobulated again.
Sorry about that.
Okay. No. It wasn't that, Ruby. I just lost my document. So I don't know. I guess I'm not surprised. I mean, obviously, people are incentivized by companies, by entities, to shill in one way or another.
By access.
Yes, alone. I mean, so many people in politics now got into politics because of Gamergate, as fucking insane as that is to say. It's true.
Oh god, don't fucking remind me.
I know.
Now, in
and
Tim's case, he's
thing,
Occupy.
with people realizing, wait a minute, these journalists get paid, or not in money so much, but in access, in all of these perks and stuff.
Access was involved.
A scam. On Gamergate, certainly.
Yeah, several places of access were violated.
It wasn't the. It also, speaking of violated, this wasn't the only thing involving Tim Pool that was on my feed a lot lately. So I just wanted to share this with you because Tim did also retweet it.
This is good AI.
Yeah, I don't watch Timcast or listen to it as often as I used to, but so I missed this one live.
Let's jump to this next story from CNN. Ladies and gentlemen, I have good news. If you are concerned...
Hey, Tim, before you do that, maybe we should address the rumors going around about our relationship.
Yeah, I don't get what the big deal is. Ian and I have been close friends for a long time. It shouldn't be surprising to anyone that we cuddle sometimes.
Tim, are you sure it's just cuddling? I've caught you and Ian at least a dozen times making weird noises in the bathroom together, and your excuse is always that you're unclogging the toilet.
Shut up, Elad. You come on this show and have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Look, it's just like that scene in Brokeback Mountain where you got two normal dudes and it's a cold night, so they decide to warm up by sharing a tent together.
I think you're forgetting a pretty important part from that scene.
Okay, fine. Then it's like that movie Friends with Benefits. Ian and I are just friends, but we benefit from each other's warm embrace. I like to play with his hair, and there's nothing else going on.
I don't have a problem with that as long as I get to be Justin Timberlake. But I don't get why you keep dancing around the fact that our relationship is purely erotic, and the only reason you still have me on the show is for my body. I mean, you're wearing the graphene butt plug I made for you right now.
Ian, the only reason I wear this is to hold in my farts during the show. You, of all people, should know how bad they stink. I'm done talking about this. Let's go to the Super Chats. From Real Dylan Danger. Great show tonight, guys. It got a little weird at the end, though. Thanks for checking out this.
Okay. This is what AI was made for, okay? Obvious.
True use of AI.
Further evidence of the woke going away, since I mentioned it several times. Disney's looking like they're gonna have to definitely reorienting their live action film plans. Yeah, they apparently had a live action.
Why does Rapunzel look
Tangled
like such a
film
bitch?
made. You've never seen Tangled?
No.
Oh, it's a CGI cartoon. It was one of their earliest ones. Or earlier ones.
It looks like Rapunzel is on drugs.
Yes, it's Rapunzel. It's
oh.
Hang on. Have you never seen Tangled?
Because I'm a man and I'm 35.
Oh, I guess that's true. When did this come out, though?
I've never seen it either, to be honest.
Like 2012?
Yeah, see, there you go.
2010. I was 20 when this movie came out.
Again, we're both men.
Anyway. I mean, it was past
obviously not me and you.
Look, I wasn't watching Disney movies regularly, but I did eventually see it. So, but yeah, following the underwhelming box office performance, well, that's putting it lightly, of Snow White, Disney is now pumping the brakes on another live-action adaptation of the animated classic. Classic? I mean, I wouldn't call it that. Again, it's like 25 years or 20
Well,
years
after Snow White comes out and it does
15 years
worse than the Linkara movie.
Right. Yes, as we covered, Snow White had a lower score on IMDb than the Linkara movie.
And lower than To Boldly Flee, a film that is literally unwatchable.
Yes. I think that To Boldly Flee...
Not a single... First of all, that film's like 7 hours long.
Yeah,
Second
it's
of
like
all,
7
when we
hours.
watched it on stream with Claw's Crowd, not a single person survived past hour 3. Everyone crashed out. Everyone was too inebriated to continue. I passed out. I don't know how I got to bed.
Oh my. So yeah, it looks like they're gonna rethinking all of their strategy here, which of course is the Snow White movie was this thing that they had left over. They had to shit it out. You're still, like I said, you're still gonna see woke stuff. It's not gonna go away immediately. There will always be some of it, but we're moving on to next thing. Yeah, it's obviously we're moving on to new thing. Or, just get excited.
Maybe they'll make animated versions of all the fucking live action shit instead.
The live, Okay, that would be a real mind fuck. Grim news for Morning Joe as young viewers desert Mika and Joe in droves. Yay! So, MSNBC's
news.
Morning Joe has lost in the sought-after 25-54 demographic to CNN's News Central so far this year. When looking at 3 hours, both shows actually air. The occurrence is a first since 2022 and confirmed by data reviewed by the Daily Mail. It showed how, within the demo, News Central recorded an average of 73,000 viewers during the months of January, February, and March, and Joe, in contrast, only managed 64,000. So, just a
Who the
generic
fuck in that age
news...
demographic sits down to watch the news?
What this is what's being left on in doctors' offices.
Yes, or airports.
What is the... But it's what is, the harmless background noise. And Joe is a remnant at this point.
I wouldn't describe them as harmless. But I know what you mean.
No.
Brainless.
Brainless.
Yeah,
No,
brainless, yes.
The News Central stuff is probably more closer to harmless, because I don't know what News Central is. What is this? Let's find out. Because I don't know. Is it just a general news show on CNN? Yeah, Brianna Kyler and Boris Sanchez. This is a good sign. I've never seen these people's faces before. I've never seen something go viral of some cringe clip with either of these two people, as far as I know. Maybe, probably. But this must be like some harmless general news, no, commentary type stuff. Whereas Morning Joe is commentary. So, I think it's evidence that, we're getting rid of the commentary, people who fire people up with the sort of woke shit. Seems to be looks like Morning Joe. And because people are tired of it too. And as directed, people are tired of it, they will move on to something else. Something else being, maybe 9/11 too. In terms of the cultural hysteria. I think we gotta wait a while before they try another pandemic.
The global war on terrorism, and by terrorism I mean all of Israel's
shows. This was USDA freezes funding for main schools over transgender athletes. Oh, this is the slop section, that's why this isn't here. Yeah. So again, still some of it going on. I don't think this is gonna happen, but I don't think it will last, I should say. U.S. Department of Agriculture said Wednesday it had frozen federal funds for some main education programs over the state's refusal to ban transgender students from girls' and women's sports as ordered by Trump and his administration. The Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins announced the freeze following a letter sent to Maine Governor Janet Mills explaining that funding would be paused for certain administrative and technological functions in schools. I mean, how much does the U.S. Department of Agriculture give to schools in Maine? But obviously there's some holdouts, which is why I brought it up. And let's see. Other topics. Okay. I wanted to look at this briefly. This is pretty cool. Well, it's interesting, I should say. It's not cool. Would it be easy if I downloaded this? I just wanted to... There we go. Okay. So...
For more man-made horrors
this
beyond
is a report on so-called assassination culture, how burning Teslas and killing billionaires became a meme aesthetic for political violence. Wait for me. Let me get that to go away. Hide. Whatever. I don't remember how to do that easily. CRI. There we go. Okay. So to assess support for political violence, we surveyed 1,264 U.S. residents. Balance reflects census data on race, ethnicity, gender, and education. Respondents were asked demographic info, political identity, political and psychological scales. I'd like to know which ones exactly they are, but I can guess. Questions concerning their acceptance of specific forms of political violence. A score of 1 meant that... We get it, right? So justification for murder of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Percent said partially justified or more. All respondents. So I don't like this, by the way, that they have lumped in all respondents. I want to see, excuse me, because I couldn't see this specifically in the data that I looked at here, but I did just skim it, to be fair. I need you to delineate. I want to see people who say that they have no political orientation, because I think I just want to see the data. It's just my autism, okay? But support for the murder of Elon Musk and Donald Trump is 48% for Musk and 55% for Trump. So half of all self-identified leftists or left-of-center people in the U.S. think it is justified to kill Donald Trump. I'm surprised it's not higher, honestly. they were
a reliable estimate.
Really upset when that he didn't get killed, both times. That was the one time he literally got shot at, and then the second time it almost happened. Percentage who say that destroying Tesla dealerships is partially acceptable. I'm astonished that 40%. This is why I said I wanted the data broken apart. 40% of all respondents said it's okay to destroy Tesla dealerships, whereas 50. You can round this up at a 6. 58% left of center people think it's okay to destroy. Is at least partially acceptable. Again, I'm surprised this isn't higher, and I'm shocked that that's that high. I don't know what's causing that skew. Let's see. Pursued justification for murder of Musk and Trump. This is the breakdown. There we go. These are just the specifics. Correlation matrix. Acceptable to so this is actually interesting. So a perfect correlation will be a stronger blue. That's a positive correlation. The stronger the blue, the closer it is to a 1-to-1 correlation within the matrix, and then the more red it is, the more negative the relationship. So if you're using Blue Sky, for example, has a 0.23 correlation with thinking it's justified to kill Elon Musk, and Elon really has become their big bad now. Because look at the Elon Musk stuff. It is pretty intense, it seems. Like, you see it again here, where they really hate Elon Musk. Like, so, in this case, right, justified killing of Elon Musk also is justified killing of Donald Trump. I'm so glad we're using the LWA instrument now.
Leftists hate African American, more at 9.
Yeah. I'm so glad we're using the LWA instrument. Oh, it took 70 years for us to get this fucking instrument. And it was COVID that produced it. Fuck. It was people going insane over COVID that overturned. If I've not explained this before, the right-wing authoritarianism instrument, which is based on Theodore Adorno, a member of the Frankfurt School's F scale, standing for fascist scale, was used universally across the social sciences, barely adapted from the F scale, the RWA right-wing authoritarianism instrument, for 70 years. And there was a contention across all of that time, for 70 years, that there was no such thing as left-wing authoritarianism. It took until COVID for us to have to rethink that left-wing people can be authoritarian. That's how ingrained this stupid shit is into
and yet you claim your
science.
Field deserves to exist.
I think it can be good, but obviously the problems in practice are pretty severe. So predictive variables, brain Tesla dealerships being left to center, having left-wing authoritarianism. I like that they've included Blue Sky. Locus of control, this means feeling as if you have the ability to change things. So feeling that you can change things in your life is negatively related to destroying Tesla dealerships and killing Trump. Which they didn't include, though, the loci. It might not have been used in this one. Oh, I don't... Have I ever just read a study on stream before? I think I have. So Luigi... Oh, whatever. Here's the fucking point, right? Is people are murderous. I mean, are we surprised by that?
Surprises at all.
No. This is just the appendices. We saw so that's the key takeaways from the study. We actually read most of it that mattered. Yeah. Now I did send that there were debates to be had, right? Little discussions. So, we're talking about eugenics. Tech executive brags about implementing a brutal new form of eugenics on the most vulnerable. I just saw this and I thought it would be interesting. When one wades into the uncomfortably necessary topic of being pro-life, the conversation almost invariably ends up at the same place, and that's abortion. But the pro-life argument extends well beyond that of one vile action. It's about time to have this is the Western Journal. They have a staunch right-wing Christian bent. Pro-life argument, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I got it. Where's the thing? Okay. Is this the actual? Yes, okay. Here, with their little scenario. Your wife is pregnant. Doctor informs you that early testing suggests there's a chance the child may have a medical issue. So instead of birthing a child who might have health issues, you simply opt to kill the child, or worse yet, freeze him or her indefinitely. That's the sort of practice IVF is using, and it's abhorrent no matter who may support. This is their opinion. Didn't they have like this? Where's this tech executive part that? Yes. Okay, it does start here. I was waiting because I read the part at the bottom, but I kind of skipped the prelude. Okay. New York Times. Yeah. Horrors of IVF were crystallized this week in a sickening non-April... Oh, yes. This is where... God damn. I don't know. My out of it today. New York Times gleefully released an article about a medical company called Orchid. I did, because I skimmed through this, the article, Parents Selected for Health. Here's wanted a girl, should human life be optimized? And it's what you expect. It's that, we should do gene tailoring, essentially, to weed out certain genes that would cause some negative effects. I mean, of course, we're these same people who, or the science lovers, right, get upset is when you would choose things like not selecting based on race. Do you know what I mean? Or not selecting based on sex. They would have a big problem with that. I don't know if they would have a problem with IQ or because, you wouldn't know IQ, obviously, before birth unless you have some severe mental defect. But I feel like they wouldn't be so pro killing of screening, let's say, for genetics. At least, like I said, though, in the beginning, everybody ultimately is pro-eugenics. Because that's just life. That's reality. That's mating strategy. So, I don't know. I think we already answered this earlier, actually. I said it was a discussion, but I think we already talked about it, that we all pretty much agree on the eugenics thing. So, we kind of already talked.
Now let's see who's the most extreme about it. Spoon, you have the floor for the first one.
Yeah, we're good.
I don't know, do we have... Yeah, I think we actually covered that already. I didn't really think about that till we got to it. It's like, yeah, we actually already talked about this. So, I did mention the direwolf thing. Experts dispute claim that direwolf brought back from extinction. There's a magnificent snow-white wolf on the cover of Time magazine today, accompanied by a headline announcing the return of the direwolf. This now extinct species is possibly most famous for its fictional role in Game of Thrones, but it did exist more than 10,000 years ago when it roamed the Americas. The company, Colossal Biosciences, is behind today's headlines. It announced that it used deft genetic engineering and ancient DNA to breed 3 direwolf puppies and to de-extinct the species. But while the young wolves, Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi, oh god, so cringe, represent an impressive technological breakthrough, independent experts say they are not actually direwolves. Yeah, when you get into...
So what you're saying is you will never be a direwolf?
Yes. You are a crude... What is it? A crude mockery of God's perfection. So yes, they're not really direwolves. They edited the genes of grey wolves to...
The hilarious thing is that breeders have been attempting to rebreed direwolves from American Alsatians for years. Like we have seen species bred back into existence because the Guernsey Royal Golden Goat is exactly that. It's a species of goat that was extinct and has been rebred into existence. Someone got an MBE over it.
Oh, nice.
But it's like this is just, first of all, it's incredibly crap. First of all, as we've established before, Khaleesi's a title. It's not a fucking name.
It was disgusting when it first... I remember it must have been... When was Game of Thrones? 2015, 2016? I remember that all of a sudden there was that surge in babies named Khaleesi, and I was...
How to make sure you get disowned by your child and one easy
just like... I mean, now you're associated with... I mean, I guess it was people
tyrant.
naming them after...
A psychotic inbred
tyrant. And the last thing that Gurm has written about it really was her shitting in a river. So, like, a lot of awful things surrounding this character. And also, yeah, it's not a name, it's a title. It's like calling your child princess. But people do that too, so, Loose for the Doberman for 2 Canadian says, thanks again, Bill. That woman's face bothered me a lot. Oh, you answered his physiognomy check, didn't you? Oh,
which one?
Let's do that. Was it you on Twitter who asked about the... Didn't you got asked to identify that French Jewish person?
Oh yeah, she's definitely a French Hebrew. Maybe like this thing. The Sephards are so weirdly inbred and mutant that they all kind of look weird. I think that woman might have actual Kaget DNA, which is really fucking rare. Kagets are a weird like subspecies of the French. They were like banned from walking the same streets as regular people. That's how like incredibly like denigrated against they were. And yeah, if that's actual Kaget, then she's one of the last. They're insanely rare. I didn't realize that was them.
Okay, let us. Sorry, I was only saying okay like that because I was looking at these faces. this seems like a good, I don't know, because of Lucifer's mention of the Kaget, which is a very funny word. Spoon, are you present?
Mm-hmm.
Are you awake?
Yes.
Do you want to guess some people's races? You want to be casually racist?
One thing
More
gets
so
me
than
is
usual?
openly. These appear to be. I don't think these are people who are local to this area by the looks of things. These look like there's a
No, this guy's Middle Eastern.
Yeah, that guy's a Turk.
Yeah, she's Southeast Asian.
One on the right looks to be Australian. I think must be Bali. Or or one of the other areas of like the Nesias.
Let's go with Indonesia.
I'd suggest Bali.
Bali, okay.
If I had to guess, I'm not very in the know about Bali.
Oh, it was Uzbekistan. It was Uzbekistan.
Ah, I should have known the Uzbeks were involved.
You know what? Now I can see that though. That is actually the kind of genetic diversity.
Again, here's the problem running into an ethnic essay is that they'll show you a smattering of people, and there is usually like pictures from people's travels. So there'll be like 4 people from massively different ethnic groups, and you have to try and guess which one's the dominant one. Like,
Slosh over 5 Canadians says someone posted on X, scientists brought back direwolves before Germ brought back Jon Snow. Yeah, true. What about this woman? Thank you, Slosher. What do you think? She's got blonde hair, a little chonky, I don't know. What do you think? Bill, you're the master.
she looks fucking AI generated.
Yeah, she does to me too. It doesn't look real. But now I'm just like, I'm oversensitive to that. I'm having false triggers of AI people. False triggering is, is when you notice something. You think you notice something that's not actually present in the stimuli. Maybe it is. What? Bill, you're the expert. What's your guess? She's some sort of, blonde, but she's got a round head, so Scandinavian of some sort.
Maybe if the resolution was better than fucking 480p, I'd be able to tell.
Okay.
But she's
Polish Lithuanian. People in the chat are saying I see a lot of Lithuanian, German, Slovak.
I would almost say Frankish, but no. My guess.
It's not being put on the spot.
This is what I like about ethnic acid, because it's I can tell people when I get a decent picture of someone, I can tell if someone's Finnish or not most of the time. But nose is French. The lips are Jewish, and so is the head shape. The nose is but the nose in conjunction looks more French. Maybe Latvian.
Lithuanian.
I would say Latvian.
Okay. Do I type Latvian or Latvia? Whatever. It's Ukraine.
Oh, she's
wearing Ukraine colors. I should have fucking guessed that. Hawaii? It's some
Hawaii,
South
probably,
Asian island or
Samoa.
Pacific. Yeah, Samoa. Cook, same shit.
Oh, fuck off. Fucking hell.
Oh wow.
He's Jewish. They're just showing me Jews. Like, oh, why don't you know what fucking country they're all Jews. Pick which flavor of fucking Jew you're dealing with.
Are you sure with this guy?
Lips. Bow lip. Thick low lip.
I don't know. I don't think so. Just give me something. I'll try one more. We'll do this guy, and then unless there's something really interesting next, we'll get back. We'll actually move into the main topic.
Also, it stops you playing Terraria whilst he's streaming.
Okay, so I have no idea with this guy, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's not someone else.
Ahmed?
Yep.
Okay, let's just
South of France.
Maybe. Oh god, because he could that too. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's just type in French since you said that one. Chile. Oh my god. Oh, because he looks like Coach Red Pill.
Again, Jew.
Coach a little bit. There you go. Okay.
You can make
Chile has an enormous
sentence.
So
Chile has an enormous amount of like Jewish people in it.
I'm going to also send you this article in case you had to scroll down. It should only take a second.
This exact thing was why I didn't want to do fucking an ethnic essay, because it's trying to put my fucking pals on the spot.
Okay, I'll be right back. I just have to use the bathroom
gift.
real quick. Go ahead and start with this. This is just the baseline information about the tariffs and stuff that's going on, so we can get into the tariff convo. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Gives all the wordy shit and pisses off.
Yeah, there we go. Let's see, the new import taxes which Trump imposed via executive order have went shockwaves through global markets as they kicked in this week, but the U.S. president believes they are necessary to address trading imbalances and to protect American jobs and manufacturing. What do you mean protect them, Trump? They're already there.
You do it just to fuck with people, isn't like.
Yeah, because here's the reality: those jobs are there in Asia because no fucking consumer in America would pay the fucking essentially minimum wage, kind of artificially fuck with numbers. This is why they go to overseas, because it is far more lucrative to make them there and then send the finished product back, or at least assemble it in the United States. Like basic econ 101.
Well, most of the time the alternative would be to just ship in a bunch of fucking migrants.
Yeah.
And make it in sweatshops.
How about instead of making it in the third world, we'll bring the third world to us? Yay. Why?
That was a big thing for Stormfront had all their stuff made in China for the longest time because of this exact thing of like that the idea that made in America is just basically just admits, yeah, we had it made by illegal immigrants in sweatshops.
Where did we get to? Hello, back. The baseline 10% tariff?
Yep.
Okay. So the 10% baseline tariff, almost all foreign imports to the U.S. kicked in on the 5th of April. Some countries' goods are exempt, which we'll explain later. The companies which bring the foreign goods to America will have to pay this tax to the U.S. government, although it could have knock-on effects to consumers. Some countries will face only the basic rate. These include the UK, Singapore, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, Turkey, Colombia, Argentina, El Salvador, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Custom tariffs for the worst offenders. White House officials also said they would impose what they describe as specific reciprocal tariffs on roughly 60 of the worst offenders. These have come into effect. These countries charge higher tariffs on U.S. goods. They do or they don't, whether or not what the officials say. Impose non-tariff barriers to U.S. trade, or have otherwise acted in ways they feel undermine American economic goals. Here is a list of key trading partners subject to customized tariff rates: the EU, Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, Cambodia, South Africa, and Taiwan. Explain why South Africa's been included.
Do I
succinctly?
have to?
Spoon?
Again, do I have to?
What?
You can probably take a guess why.
Because I'm not. I mean, sort of. Well.
Yeah, I think the whole land grab issue is just a smokescreen. I think the reason that he picked on South Africa is because South Africa is, or at least parts of the government, is not very open to Israel. I think that's the reason he did it.
The BRICS thing is also like, you're cutting out weirdly.
Am I?
Yeah.
No, she is.
Oh, Aiden is. Yeah. Say.
Oh, I am. Okay.
No,
Spoon was checking up. It was probably my internet then. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Seems to be alright now.
So, tit for tat tariffs with China. China is facing the heaviest tariffs after a 104% levy on Chinese goods. This also happened today. I actually didn't know it was in this article because I had it at the end, but yes.
Aren't they talking about going
Trump
up to
has turned up the heat.
I think China's talking about going up to 2,000%.
I haven't seen that, but there is another. There's even more. Again, this was happening like as I was preparing for the stream. This stuff is breaking right now. Let's see. Yamira Rice says, "Here's a fun thought experiment. Aiden, if machines replaced the labor needed for migrant workers, but also eliminated child labor workers, would you still accept the machines for this?" Machines replace the labor. Yeah, I don't see the downside. Well, citizen labor workers. The reality is that if it's a job that can be done by a robot, largely speaking, you need people to maintain, and you need people to administrate over the robots, right? But the reality is, most people don't want to stitch the Nikes up. Do you know what I mean? It's just not, working at a sweatshop is not something that you're going to be able to get Americans or anybody in the West, just being perfectly honest, to do. And then, as I mentioned previously, in Western nations, we have all of these workers' protections and regulations, which are good things. None of those exist in China. or in a lot of these other third world countries where this shit gets made. As a result, you're not going to be able to make goods for anywhere near the price as they're being sold by China, no matter where you're making them, unless you are willing to also allow for slave labor wages at really shitty jobs. So, unfortunately, this isn't going to fix the economy. As we mentioned before, though, this is not intended to fix the economy long term. It's not meant to bring back jobs to the U.S., bring back manufacturing to the U.S., because there's some truth to it that people are not going to want to do those jobs. And when you also live in a Western country that has all of these social safety nets, people will just go sit making the minimum amount of money they have to survive comfortably enough, and will avoid paying, or making more than a certain amount so that they can stay on government assistance. But that's why this is not a long-term plan. This is not about fixing the U.S. economy longitudinally. This is about temporarily probably getting prices down, getting better deals on international trade. And I think for that reason, it's working. It's probably going to work to do that temporarily, but long term, this particular move is not bringing industry back to the United States, because the type of industry you're taking from China is not industry that U.S. citizens are willing to do. They'll do them if they pay, yeah, but then if the companies have to pay people a lot more money, then again, the goods become more expensive. Like you see how economically, that's why we import all this crap from China, because they don't have workers' protections, and they don't have, and they will pay people slave wage labor costs. Separately, Trump has ordered that low-value goods entering the U.S. from Hong Kong and mainland China will be subject to import duties from May 1st onwards. The de minimis exception has allowed foreign products costing £625 or less to enter the U.S. duty-free, but that will no longer apply to Chinese imports. Oh, Timu's gonna get fucked! No additional tariffs on Canada, because I buy cheap Chinese and crap from Timu occasionally. No additional tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Yeah, I guess that one's over. Canada and Mexico, which were targeted in Trump's previous round of tariffs, face no additional levies. The 10% baseline rate does not apply to them. The White House said it would deal with both countries using a framework set out in Trump's executive orders, which imposed tariffs on both countries as part of the administration's efforts to address the entry of fentanyl into the U.S. border issues. Trump previously set those tariffs to 25% on all goods entering from both countries before announcing some exemptions and delays. So, exemptions on tariffs on sectors. While the new round of tariffs applied globally covers most foreign goods entering the U.S., there are some exceptions. According to the White House fact sheet, these include copper, pharmaceuticals, for now, semiconductors, lumber, bullion, energy, and other, quote, certain materials that are not available in the United States. Articles subject to U.S. Code clause widely interpreted as informational materials, communications, and donations are also exempted. The tariff rates do not apply to steel, aluminum. Wow, I still got that one. Oh, you didn't take that one from me yet. Vehicles and vehicle parts, but that's just...
It'll take a while.
God, it's in a matter of time. It's inevitable.
Time is on my side.
But that's because they're subject to separate 25% tariffs on specific sectors. So that's the TLDR. Obviously, people's brains... hair caught on fire, over this. There's two that have been I don't know if it's conveniently, interestingly left out. Russia and North Korea. But it makes sense once you understand why. This is, of course, being spun as, it's because Trump loves Russia and North Korea because he's a dictator, just like Putin and...
that thing that dictators love other dictators.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The reality is, it doesn't include Russia, North Korea, and then you would know this if they included the other ones in many of these headlines. Cuba and Belarus, because they're already under extreme tariffs. So they weren't given additional ones. That's the only North Korea, the most tariffed country on Earth. Putting more tariffs on it, and there's no real reason to put more tariffs on Russia either. They clearly can survive just by gas alone, to a certain degree, right?
Their currency won't be affected by this because they're back with the gold standard.
That as well, yeah.
At least the Russians.
That as well. What do I have next? So it is interesting that Russia and NK and Cuba and Belarus are lifted out, but again, it makes sense when you understand why, which is not complicated. So everyone basically came to beg Trump to release these restrictions, which I think all of this, like I said, or a lot of it was, again, it's like temporary economic pain and then relief, and it will seem like Trump got stuff done. A lot of this is also political theater in many ways. But,
because it's associated with the removal of the income tax, which he did talk about.
Yes, which he has talked about.
So every time he does this, it's teasing the idea that maybe we'll get rid of income tax.
Maybe. I doubt it. What it really is it's him slamming his dick on the table, I think. And making this big public display of this overt, just aggressive, unhinged behavior, how he's just destroying the world with this stuff, and making them kneel. It's part of the show.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the show. Yeah, and again, we're going to come to the conclusion of this, which is that it's been halted. So it lasted, what was that, a whole 3 days? 4 days? On the 5th is when it went into effect. So 4 days, this has actually been in effect. And it has been paused now for 90 on every country sans China. So making this article now out of date as of this morning. So, but stressing the billions U.S. gives in aid, Trump refused to commit to removing tariffs on Israel. So again, Netanyahu was in the U.S. Recently, or
must need his laundry done.
Yeah, and speaking to the press alongside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday, U.S. President Trump declined to comment on removing the 17% tariffs he had imposed on Israel on Monday. Well, we're 17% tariffs. Okay, yeah, above the flat 10. Well, we're talking about a whole new trade, maybe not, he said in response to a question about whether he would reverse the tariffs. So let me zoom in. This is tiny.
And what does Israel really produce, apart from like estrogen, which they mainly get in through India, like shit guns and pedophilia?
I have no idea what Israel exports. Shoot, hang on, I lost my place. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Israel had hoped to avoid Trump's sweeping decree last week to impose levies on global imports. Instead, it was hit with a 17% tariff, despite lifting all remaining duties on U.S. imports in a last-minute attempt to be spared. They did do that. They seemingly thought they could get out of it, but it didn't work. And at least as of this morning, I mean, this is bizarre, though. So this must have been yesterday. Trump says, we'll think about it, but we're not getting you off the list. And then today, do you see why this seems discombobulated? And there's parts of it that seem weird and haphazard than others. Meeting with Netanyahu, or was it Monday? 2 days ago, saying, I'm not going to remove the tariffs, sticking by it, saying, no, trust me, this is a real, or pretending. Again, this is all pretend, it's all show. But some of this does come off as haphazard, as I get into the penguin thing. But it is also worth noting that the truth, which is that China does not play by the rest of the world's rules. So you do have to be aggressive with China, which is largely a paper tiger, considering that no matter what's happening today, well, I think because of what's happening today specifically, you're going to see something more extreme probably happen with China going forward. But I thought this little clip has been making the rounds, and I thought it was pretty good to, I don't know if I agree 100%, but it makes some interesting points, and I think some correct points.
4% tariffs in China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades.
Why are you
they have never abided by any of the rules they agree.
The alternative is dealing with Khajiits.
Yeah.
They're the other major industry hub for manufacturing. And what
Me
would
too,
you rather
they
do? Both are incredibly arrogant, self-righteous civilizations with no accolades to really speak of.
Came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, and sell it back here.
This is all true.
Never has an administration.
Stand 400% tariffs. What would that look like?
She on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals.
Historically, yes.
And finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and
Look,
says...
I don't think this is all this grand stuff, but I do agree with the basic sentiment that China doesn't play by the rules. Everybody knows this and has been dancing around it. We have to play by these rules. China and India never have.
No.
They've always just done whatever the hell they wanted to do.
Every shot show,
So, you know,
Chinese nationals are walking around the venue with photographing guns, in some cases taking them apart to photograph them, and in at least one occasion bringing a 3D scanner so that they can steal the designs of firearms manufacturers in the US and then go home and make fucking Chinese clones of them that fucking blow up in your hands.
That's why he's talking so much about the IP theft, because that's what ends up happening.
They do it constantly. I don't think China's made anything of their own accord in fucking decades, if not centuries.
I think when we hear IP, there's a tendency to think of like movies or games or something. But no, it's the like actual technology stuff that they copy poorly and then export back. That absolutely is a problem too. But yeah.
Is enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Well, hold on a second, Kevin. Well, I hear you, but hold on. If we're talking about people, the average consumer, not necessarily the head honchos of businesses all across the globe, can they withstand the pressure of that sort of tax on the goods?
Short-lived. There will be.
But what's your timeline compared to, you don't know the average American's timeline, what they can actually survive. There's people right now who can't survive
400% tomorrow morning, cheese on an airplane to Washington to cut a deal.
I mean, it might end up happening. But again, what this is a temporary Band-Aid on a massive gaping wound that you're not going to be able to fit, and that's bringing back American manufacturing. That's not going to happen. If that's what you're trying to fix, this is putting a Band-Aid on that. That's not going to do it.
Am I getting to come to
I don't mind cheaper prices, but
it at the very least might make them actually work with other nations when they need to legislate against Chinese manufacturers that are stealing shit.
It also just comes off as brutish with the flat 10%, which led to embarrassing stuff. But again, I'll get to that. So yeah, I did agree with that sentiment specifically, that China doesn't play by our rules. And I'm gonna play this, and I just said for it, my comment was, wonder why she thinks this. So this is a House member, dumber than Jasmine Crockett, according to Bad Hombre. Chinese Representative Judy Chu just peddled bizarre conspiracy theory. Let's listen to it.
My conclusion is that there's only one explanation for this: corruption. The Trump administration.
This is about him putting in the tariffs. So it's corruption. Okay, one. The tariffs themselves are corruption. The president enacting tariffs. Okay, I'm sorry. My brain is struggling with that. But it gets more interesting.
The administration is now bragging that dozens of countries are approaching the White House ready to offer concessions and negotiate a reduction in Trump tariffs. This presents a completely unprecedented opportunity for corruption. If his tariffs are allowed by Congress and the courts to stand, then the president could unilaterally decide to remove or reduce tariffs on certain countries. With no transparency, a country could pay the president or his family money through memberships at Mar-a-Lago or payments through their various cryptocurrencies.
Oh my God.
Exchange.
Is that a self-report here?
Reduction in tariffs.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Is that could buy nations, can buy
So you're cutting out a bit.
Trump's Mar-a-Lago. Because I'm trying to understand this absolutely insane thing. The whole countries will buy memberships at Mar-a-Lago in order to broker a backroom deal to get Trump to take their country off the list.
Oh no! What you need to do is you need to go through Burisma that way.
In terms of Chinese cope, I don't know what level this is. Oh, I guess so, right? Then it's fine. Just the most insane Chinese cope I've heard yet about it. Yeah, sure, it's a conspiracy to get people to sign up for his club. I don't even know. Okay. Thanks, Judy. That was insightful. And then, just curious here. This is Cardi of Canada. His response was interesting.
From my understanding, some of the campaign was pushing positive narratives about you. Why do you think that Chyna, the PRC, seems to like you? Why are they praising you?
I have absolutely no idea, and I
Look at these faces behind him as he says that. I can't unsee it now. Everyone starts smiling, and oh my god. Why does Chyna like you? And then it's like a comedy skit. This seems set up that then they all just turn to him and start smiling. I'm not the only one who sees this, right?
Oh yeah, it seems when remember when Mitch McConnell had a fucking freeze up for the first time, and everyone around him was like giggling to themselves.
Oh yeah.
I have absolutely no idea, and I have absolutely no idea, and I think it. Well, I'll leave it at that.
Oh my god! And then she's laughing too. The woman on the other side. They're all just laughing at him. It's like, yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't know why Chyna likes me. I have no idea. It's a mystery. But, oh no, bad news. Oh no, Mr. Beast is gonna make his chocolate overseas thanks to Trump's tariffs. What?
Oh no, some of the worst chocolate on the market at some of the highest prices.
Also, we try to make this make sense. He claimed it's going to be cheaper to produce his Feastable bars overseas, and therefore import them to the U.S., therefore being subject to tariffs. Jimmy, I don't think you thought this one through. How does Independent? Can you fuck off with this?
Well, I think what he's insinuating that it's better to import all the goods to another country that has got a lower tariff rate than the constituent
and then sell
ones,
them back to the United States,
and then bring them into the U.S. from that secondary one as like a go-between. Which, by the way, sounds an awful lot like just at a certain point just is smuggling, you know.
Well, you're saying that the bars that they would sell globally, they would not produce in America. I guess that's the specifics. But it just sounded so insane to me. And the most important thing is, oh no, not Mr. Beast. What will we do without, what's it called again? Feastables. With the shitty... Look, here's the thing, Mr. Beast, by the way. I guarantee already that Feastables sold in Europe is not made in America. There's no way it already is.
No chocolate made in
it's
America
chocolate,
would
yes.
sell internationally. Yeah. It's fucking... It would never pass muster anywhere else.
There is no way that he is selling American chocolate. Because if you guys are not aware, American chocolate has butyric acid in it, I think is the compound. And it gives American-produced chocolate a certain flavor that to many people, myself included, that tastes like vomit or sick. You know what I mean? Like I do occasionally like a dark chocolate or white chocolate, but milk chocolate, it's not just Hershey's. It's not just Hershey's, but Hershey's is the biggest offender. Is the biggest offender by far. Their chocolate to me tastes like puke. And other countries that make chocolate do not use that butyric acid, which is it's like the same thing as stomach acid or a similar thing.
It's the
other countries don't use that, which is why people think American chocolate's disgusting. Yes. So, I don't think anyone cares, Jimmy, and I there's no way.
His chocolate's shit by American standards.
Yeah.
They had to reformulate it to make it less shit, and it was still shit.
Why do it then? I don't know. You know, I went to Hershey's, the theme park, and we went on like a tour of their
the original
history of Hershey's.
The original Hershey's like batches, because it was like shortages. I think it was like Didn't they come around during the Depression? But I think the idea was that
no
they got
yeah.
milk past
No.
its sell-by date on the
was
cheap,
that it?
and they were processing it into chocolate, and that left the butyric acid in it.
Oh, okay. But they continue to add it. I mean...
Yes, because it was part of the brand. People got used to it.
Because I grew up all my life thinking I was insane because I don't like chocolate, and particularly for women, like it's a meme, right? That all women love chocolate, particularly when they're on their periods. Oh, I'm menstruating, I need to eat copious amounts of chocolate. Well, I don't like chocolate, and I could never figure out why I don't like it. Except occasionally I would like some dark chocolates and white chocolate, and the reason why is they don't. The same process that you get in Hershey's is not done there, so that's why it's like, oh, okay, this is pretty good. It's still not my favorite because I have a bad association of chocolate with tasting like puke because I grew up with Hershey bars. This is my exposure to chocolate. So yeah, no one cares, Mr. Beast. No one cares, Jimmy. Let's see. This was, oh yeah, I wanted to get to this. Spoon, are you still there? Oh no, I think Spoon fell asleep.
Demi Lovato got him.
I guess so.
That one might just be going for a piss.
We'll get through the end. Did he really just fall asleep? Okay. He has done it
He might have just stepped away to use the gents.
Okay. No, not that, Norfolk. Mislabeled shipments lead to Trump tariffs on uninhabited islands and remote outposts with no U.S. trade. So this is, again, they claim this was an error, but it's a really funny one either way.
It's not an error. This is, I know you motherfuckers would establish a trade depot and reroute stuff through there. So before that begins, let's nip that in the fucking bud.
Yeah. So trade tariffs imposed on tiny Australian territories that are either uninhabited or claim to have no trading relationship with the U.S. appear to have been calculated based on erroneous trade data. The data relates, at least in part, to shipments mislabeled as coming from remote Norfolk Island or Heard Island and McDonald's Islands instead of their correct countries of origin, The Guardian can reveal. Among the erroneously labeled shipments over the past 5 years from the island territories are shipments of aquarium systems, Timberland boots, wine, and parts for a recycling plant. According to an analysis of U.S. import data and shipping records, multiple shipments of goods were classified as having originated from Norfolk Island or Heard and McDonald Islands when neither the company address nor the port of departure for the shipment nor the destination port were located in those territories. In some cases involving Norfolk Island, which is 1.6 thousand kilometers north of Sydney and has a population of 2,000, the confusion appears to have resulted from the fact that the company's address or port of departure is Norfolk, UK, or the destination is Norfolk, Virginia in the U.S., or a company's registered address in New Hampshire has been listed instead of Norfolk Island. Norfolk Island was hit this week with a 29% tariff on its goods, so it got the harsher one, 19 percentage points higher than the rest of Australia, despite claiming to have no export relationship with the U.S. This decision has perplexed the Australian government, with Australia's Prime Minister saying it was evidence nowhere was safe from Trump's... It's more evidence that they just...
No, I think
to everyone and didn't pay attention to it.
I think that it was a. I actually think this is.
It was a meme.
No, I think this is someone going. Norfolk Island is uninhabited currently, it's inhabited but doesn't have a trade agreement with us.
Yeah, 2,000 people.
But if it comes, there's other places called Norfolk. There's one in Britain. There's one in America. If you were a very savvy would-be smuggler, wouldn't it be very easily just list it as Norfolk? And pick like another sub-town that has a one in kind with the British one to get around trade tariffs. So if you were like trading from Norfolk in England, for instance.
The one that's more insane, though, again, as I keep mentioning, is the Heard and McDonald's Islands. These are uninhabited. You can see how close they are to Antarctica, comparatively. You know what I mean? As far as I know, the only things that live on these islands, let's double check. Heard and McDonald's Island. Let me...
Again, my statement is the same in all cases. These are places that someone could use as build a depot at and import from to get around the tariffs.
Yeah, population 0. These are uninhabited. It's just penguins.
If you find out a place has no tariffs with the US and you're a major fucking...
It's a research station and penguins.
That place would become inhabited. If they think they could use to get around shit.
Probably.
It would only be like a shack somewhere.
I mean, people lived on... Didn't they actually live for a little bit on that oil rig that they turned into a monarchy and were selling...
Sealand. People still live in
Sealand, yes. Forgot what it was called for a second. Let's see.
Sealand's still occupied. Yeah, Sealand, it has a population of 300 people.
There you go. Was Sealand tariffed, I wonder? That would be really funny if Sealand had been on the list. I think it's just that, yeah, it just got put on a... They probably didn't check. Or it's, as you said, it was a mix-up with the name Norfolk.
Oh, no, I'm assuming that it was intentional so that to prevent people using it as a workwood.
Oh, no, yeah. Okay, I got you.
Also possible that it was a fuck-up.
Traffic goods. Maybe.
I would rather, like, I think in my DM brain, I'm thinking I'm covering my ass just so people don't try sneaky bullshit.
Yeah.
And if you have a name like that that's very generic, you're more likely to try and get away with it. Because people won't question that.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the Heritage McDonald's Islands. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Bills of Ladian for shipments from Indian suppliers be mislabeled as coming from the British Indian Oceans Territory, a remote external territory of the UK with few inhabitants. Tokelau, a territory of New Zealand in the southern Pacific Ocean, was also targeted with tariffs. And again, some shipments have been mislabeled as suppliers originate from the island, such as a shipment of pergola parts from Turkey. So it obviously this is haphazard as hell, right? The rollout of these tariffs has been mismanaged, to put it mildly. But then,
yeah, there's also not insubstantial chance that this was done by some Indian who didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Sure. At the same time, I do not like this boomer mentality. I'm going to call it, no offense to you, Jeremy, but I'm going to call this a boomer mentality. This is probably why I brought him up earlier. Because this was just like emblematic of you do not need the new iPad, you do not need the new cell phone, you do not need the new video game console. You want them, there's a big difference. If you look at people whining about tariffs, I challenge you to ask them how their lives have been affected in any way. It's it is actually really hard to ask people to suffer. I get it. They said they were willing to, people who voted for Trump, but yeah, it's going to mean some economic turmoil. If you really did want to bring back U.S. industry, it would, either way, whether you want to get financial relief by making more money, which is what's actually happening, or if you wanted to bring industry back to the U.S., which is not happening, then it's going to hurt in the short term. And so, yeah, it is true you don't need the new iPad, you don't need the cell phone, you don't need a video game console, but it's regular people are not going to be able to understand that in practice. And I go back to my point, too, which was that if it was about bringing back U.S. manufacturing, you're not going to be able to find people who are going to be willing to do it for prices that companies would be willing to pay. And that's just a fact. So someone in the chat asked earlier, and I don't remember who asked it, but I didn't make note of it, asked, how do we bring manufacturing jobs back? I don't think we do. I think we're a post-manufacturing country until robots can do it. Until robots can do everything, I think we're post-manufacturing. Because the way that it currently works is that the U.S.
Well, it's not about eliminating it. It's about making it inconvenient enough that it's last resort.
Yeah,
I mean, in this case, this prevents. This kind of knocks China's manufacturing overall, which would prevent them. Like, if you've got some stuff that can be made, within the U.S., like cars, etc., that keeps that work in the U.S. because the alternative to go to China would be very expensive. The stuff that can only really be made in China because of the slave labor, it'll make the slave labor more expensive, but it's not really a big deal. And if people won't buy the product at the new prices, necessarily the prices will drop.
Or the product doesn't get made anymore.
The fucking markup on some of these products is enormous.
Yes. We'll get to pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are probably about to be added to it, unless they already have.
Most of the pharmaceuticals will be made in India.
Well, yes, and that was Trump is saying he's going to add pharmaceuticals. I don't know if he went ahead and did, but I've got that here next.
I think pharmaceuticals were specifically exempt currently.
Eden's a boomer on this. We have illegals who work for higher pays than locals because tax evasion for the company. People are willing to work. I'm not saying people aren't willing to work. I think people aren't willing to work. I think people in America are not willing to be. Let me be very clear. I think people are more than willing to work, but I think American citizens who have grown up in America are absolutely unwilling to do Chinese work for Chinese prices. Which, if you want to maintain the price of your Chinesium, you're going to have to do locally. And I think the problem is that you really are not going to find how many Americans do you think you can get who are willing to be paid $1 an hour to work in a sweatshop? Maybe a couple. You can make more than that.
It could cause appreciation of the currency in that regard.
Potentially.
Which I think is the end game here, most likely. To try and cause appreciation of the currency in the face of the massive coin clipping tier fucking hyperinflation we've been dealing with.
Boomer, we don't want to maintain that pricing. You're right. It's going to go way, way up.
Also, here's the question.
All of it's going to go way
Places
up.
like
bring
companies
this all back to the US. Yes, you're right.
Companies like Nike
become incredibly more expensive.
Okay. Places like
yes, $1 an hour is illegal. Sorry, like this is you're like
places like Nike will have to choose between cut into their margin or go out of business. And I don't think here's the thing: if your company requires slave labor to operate, maybe you don't deserve to exist.
What the U.S. has, the entire infrastructure has, and not just the United States, let's be clear about this, all of the westernized modern world has done is, that I belong in Britain, is made themselves into finishing elements of the manufacturing process. The stuff that you can't do with third world labor. That's what the United States and what Western nations have oriented themselves around. You're going to have to change, I mean, look,
what this will cause is a massive leap forward in 3D printing.
There is nobody more in favor of bringing back U.S. industry for things like steel, for things that we can craft in the United States for reasonable wages, as we did up until we killed U.S. steel. Well, geez, that's been going on for 70 years as well.
Listen, let's face it. One good earthquake, China doesn't have an industry anymore anyway. It's better we move away from it before the Three Gorges pops like a fucking zit.
Well, that's the thing.
And 800 million people die overnight.
China absolutely will bend.
That's the real end game here is that this will not last more than a month anyway, because everyone's going to fucking cave.
Well, yeah. Like I said, this isn't some actual massive change. This is a very minor move to make things cheaper temporarily and to improve the stock market, which has happened. So, I mean, I know it really pissed people off, but that was I think if there was a point to this, and I think there was, and I think this was the point, is to get a bunch of countries to cave immediately, as they were going to do, because China cannot survive on its own. They are a paper tiger. Particularly, I mean, both really militaristically, but also 100% economically.
Also, I love all the shit posting about 40k posting about this. Let the markets ball, let the stocks fall. And my personal favourite, of course, have faith, stock bearer. Those who know the joke, they know the joke.
I mean, I'm sorry, this is where I said I agreed with AA, and I didn't know that I would get this much pushback. But yeah, I just don't think you're going to find... I don't think you're going to find a lot of Americans willing to do hard labor, Chinese labor, for Chinese wages.
Oh no, we'll have to actually get things that are made properly.
Yeah, but then it's going to cost a hell of a lot more. And also, I mean, what's the... when you also have systems in place that allow people to not work, essentially, you have welfare systems, you can't do this. These two things cannot exist simultaneous. Because as long as there's welfare systems and these social support nets that exist, then people just won't work if the job that is available to them is a Chinese slave labor job.
Which, again, would not be legally enforceable in the States
anyway. You think that because you don't know that rich girl? Unbelievable. Holy shit. I'm from Appalachia.
Jesus
Christ.
Stop getting baited by people. If you have... if jobs crop up that are at much lower rates, you get an appreciation of... like, necessarily there'll be appreciation of currency because the buying value of, like, the labor to... fucking, look, I know the whole like labor as a value of the currency is ridiculous, but my own shit just threw me fucking right off.
What's your take on all this, Spoon? You've been quiet.
You do not need a new iPad. You do not need a cell phone. You do not need a new.
Well, I mean, this topic in general. You haven't really said anything for the whole.
But the whole tariff thing.
Yeah, I don't know what your opinion on it is.
Well, the idea...
I mean, this particular part about bringing back U.S. industry in particular. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it would help if you actually let me answer the question. Well, the idea that America is going to bring back a golden age because there's trade deficits doesn't make any sense. The AA pointed out there's a reason why there's trade deficits. It's because the one country has a lot more purchasing power than the other one. So I don't know how the hell this is somehow going to help America's manufacturing. Like, you don't have the competitive marketing to buy shit made in America that's made in fucking Taiwan or in Vietnam.
Yes.
Because so I don't know how the hell you think, oh, we're gonna bring back those jobs, like, and under what fucking who's gonna pay for the workers? What's their value of labor gonna be? It's way too fucking high. I mean, do you honestly think someone who makes someone who makes shit in one of these countries in Asia is somehow going to buy from an America made in America? The fucking people who live in America will not buy shit made in America. What the fucking hell do you think someone in Vietnam will?
Because it costs so much more to produce. Because we have all of these labor laws in place, and again, with good reason.
It's artificial.
But with all of these things in place, with the standards of living that Americans live by, there's just, I don't see any possibility of bringing back U.S. manufacturing on and maintaining the...
You can't. It's impossible.
And maintaining the cost of goods. The goods are going to go way up, and we make them domestically.
Most likely, what we'll actually have is changes in manufacturing methods. If these were to be long-term changes, which they aren't. Well, again, we are blowing smoke up our own arseholes here. This is not a long-term change. This is a short-term thing just to fuck with the individual manufacturing bases of the world, the Indias, the Chinas, the Taiwans, the people who need to get shaken up because they places like China have built themselves up so much, they actually think they're able to talk shit. You'll either get a change in manufacturing methods, meaning a much more efficiency, perhaps a move towards improved 3D printing, which is always a good thing. After all, some of us get our firearms that way. And also means we'll be able to clamp down on people selling fucking bootlegs of things that the American companies spend so much money developing.
Yeah. Again, they steal it. They steal that shit. Look.
That's why their prices are this low, because they have slaves and because they steal other people's work. This is not something we should be saying, like, no, this is like the industry standard. Like, no, all these companies should burn.
Look, in terms of bringing back, I just don't think. I think you're not going to be able to bring back U.S. industry in this specific sector. At some point, like I said, there will be, entirely automated, people who in the U.S. who could look over it. At that point, maybe. But in terms of the labor right now, just there's no way for American laborers to compete in the market with the Chinese slave laborer.
No, because they're not meant to. Right? The whole idea is to replace them with other methods that don't just use flesh in place of machinery. Right,
but we still are, and so you can have full automation.
Why do we still use it? Why do we think that putting a LiveLeak logo on something is better than putting money into actually improving infrastructure?
At Midnight in Exile, you're falling victim to the same fallacy that you accuse me of. I really don't. I'm sorry, but you say tons and tons of people who'd be willing to work for do Chinese jobs, working in a slave labor factory for slave labor prices. I mean, this whole time on American. No, and if you are a young worker in America and you want to get ahead, I mean, the thing to do is to get involved in a trade, working at an automated plant, stitching up sneakers. I don't understand why that is preferable. The reality is that times change, technology changes, and this is I think it's just a growing pain of moving towards automation.
China is retarding the world's automation.
Yes, I agree. China is retarding the world's ability to automate because as long as it's cheaper to get it in China, you don't have to implement more automation, better automation in the West.
Even the threat of it. Again, this is all a cul-de-sac anyway, because this is not a long-term change. But what it will do is make everyone think, fuck, if this happens again, we're stuffed. Or God help us, if the Three Gorges Dam blows and, 400 to 800 million people die overnight, then we're going to have some other backup. And that means we're improving the manufacturing methodology, improving infrastructure, improving the materials and tech that we have. So places like China can finally get away the fucking dodo. Look, you stop using slaves.
Look, I think you underestimate the depression, a lack of purpose. I agree 100% that not working. I've made videos on this where I've gone to the research that not working does not generally make people happy. People need some kind of purpose, and sometimes when they don't have true eudaimonic purpose, meaningfulness in life that they're seeking out, at least being able to do something gets people out of the house. People did not like that video, by the way. I got a lot of pushback on that for having a boomer mentality of people like to work. And now I have a boomer mentality for saying people don't want to work. So one of them is a boomer mentality and one of them is not. But the reality is people do want to do something. They don't want to work slave labor jobs. One of the things that you can do right now in the United States is get into a trade because there is always an incredible need for tradespeople all of the time. And that is something you can do without going to college. That is something that you can do without, getting in massive debt. It does take a while, but so does, any kind of skilled stuff. And that's something that you can do absolutely in the United States right now. And that people we see are not willing to do.
Okay.
That's why there's so much demand.
I have a counterpoint from experience. If people will not
You
work,
deal with
people
the
legally
all the
cannot,
time.
people will not work slave labor wages, but if there is a job that the company making it can't pay the wages, but if people are already on welfare,
yes,
then they can be put onto those jobs and that will be and then they'll be supplemented back up to where they were. And if they get told either you do this or you get nothing,
I guess
that's what they do over here.
I've
seen it in action. It works. Unfortunately, I wish it fucking didn't. Because personally, I don't like working next to someone who makes 12 times what I do just because him and his missus shat out 8 kids.
Right, yes.
But that gives you impetus. That drives people to vote against the government policies that have these weird fucking these safety nets for profit. If you're going to have it's like if you I've lost my fucking train of thought.
Yeah, and I agree, John. By the way, if anyone does not work, neither should they eat. I agree with it on principle. But you can't. We have under the current paradigm in the U.S. In order to bring it back, you'd have to change everything about U.S. labor laws. You'd have to get rid of the social safety nets. You'd have to make it impossible for people to be able to say no. I would rather sit at home and do just enough shit to get my to get my monthly tugboat, as Chris Chan called it, rather than go work in an awful job. People aren't willing to and look, it's a problem of modernity. It's a problem of culture. I'm not saying that people are totally unwilling to do these jobs. Obviously, they're willing to do them in China and India. I'm saying Americans, largely, broadly speaking, and I get that people are taking this as a personal attack. It's not. I'm a statistician. What I do, I come at things from a statistics background. Okay? So, statistically, not you. I am not talking about you as an individual or your family or your friends. Statistically, Americans are not going to be willing to work Chinese jobs for Chinese prices. And if you pay them more, then the cost goes up.
Again, my posit is that if you take all the dole scum and you put them to work in the fucking factories, they'll stop being dole scum real fast. They'll shape up. This would essentially change industry to a punitive job, which is somewhat preferable to slave labor. Again, I'm moral fagging here, but we really shouldn't be relying on slavery.
Yeah, I mean we are, not just the U.S. Everybody is.
Exactly.
Midnight Nico, you give me $5 to say you are not working class. Do not presume to speak for what we are willing to do to earn our living. I am 100% working class, my dude. And then Todd McGuy for 5 says, Aiden, stop getting one guide, you autist. Yeah, I mean, I did get one guide. Because it's just, I mean, it's so fucking ridiculous. That I can't actually, first of all, I am from a working class family. And secondly, that's
okay, I need you to pack up your thin skin for a second and stop having a whinge with one dickhead in chat.
I'm getting one guide. Yeah, I'm going to get one guide a little bit. Colson Mercer 5 says, I got too angry earlier because I come from a family that lost manufacturing to China in my lifetime. So did I. Aiden, we will do the job. Stop it. My family were steel workers in southern Pennsylvania, West Virginia panhandle. We lost all of our family's jobs, and not just the jobs. If I show you pictures of what Wheeling, West Virginia used to look like before and after we started entirely importing Chinese steel. It's unbelievable. They are ghost towns. They are all ghost towns. Come from a working class family. Jesus Christ, this is insane. Because I didn't grow up in a trailer. My parents lived in a trailer before I was born. Does that count? Yeah, we did have a house. I'm sorry. Yeah, we did have a house.
Or should we, me and Spoon, just wander off and go do something else whilst you have a fucking paddy with some dumb asshole and shit?
No. Anyway, we'll move on with the topic. This is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, my family was very much affected by importing Chinese steel.
You said that
I actually said that we should bring back steel, because steel is something that America has the infrastructure to produce, and being a more skilled form of manufacturing pays a lot. But guess why we started buying Chinese steel? This is why I particularly know about this, because why did we lose American steel? The best steel in the world, in my opinion, and is not just my opinion, was widely accepted to be the case. American steel was superior. Why did we lose steel to China? Why? Because Americans were not able to outcompete the Chinese, who were able to charge so much. Or charge a little for the same product. If you bring back steel to the United States, one thing that will 100% happen is that the cost of buying steel made in the U.S. will go up because American workers will expect more. We went through this exact thing in the 1970s. It is why we lost U.S. steel, because particularly the steel unions were constantly advocating for higher and higher and higher wages. And as a result, it became impossible to maintain steel coming from the U.S.
Most of the unions were in the pocket of the fucking commies anyway.
Well, yes, that's true. But outside of the...
Before we could go down another fucking diatribe, maybe we should get on with the fucking plot. Jesus wept.
Well, no, I mean, this is the topic. This is the topic, is the tariffs.
But that was I've given my counterpoint, which is use the doll scum for it.
Yeah.
Which I think is a fairly reasonable short-term workaround for an already short-term problem.
Look, what I saw a lot of people talking about,
of
course, is the price of the Nintendo Switch 2, which, I mean, allegedly...
Oh no, a game console that will be obsolete when the fucking Steam Deck 2 comes out is awful and horribly priced.
Nintendo has claimed, according to this, that they modeled a 20% price increase for the next year to the Switch 2. But an updated guideline sent to Polygon from the firm's CEO, David Cole, said the reference to 20% hardware price increase over the next 2 years applied to the hardware side in general, not just the Switch. In the case of the Switch 2, we believe that much of the 20% increase was already baked into the $450 price. So it looks like that they planned for this. It was always going to be $450. Of course, this is being laid out as a result of the tariffs, which makes no sense. Just like to point that out there. Art and Party for two Canadian says, I make furniture, fuck Sweden, let China alone. Or let China alone. Fuck Sweden, let alone China. Yeah, okay. Man, like, I get it. I do.
Oh, there's an idea. How about once these tariffs cripple Canada, we can move all the manufacturing to the snowbeaners?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I wouldn't buy a Switch 2. In general, just wait till it gets cheaper, I guess. But Nintendo stuff doesn't really go on sale.
How will you live without your Switch 1, which has been at your mum's place for the last fucking 3 years?
Basically, not my heckin' switcheroony. That's not why, though.
Any way I can slight Nintendo fans, I consider a win, really.
Right. So, this is Cernovich claiming Trump is right about tariffs. And let's listen to from Tim Waltz as to why Trump is right about tariffs.
Stuck in the 80s, his music, his clothing, his thinking. He has been on this tariff thing forever, and every economist, conservative or liberal, will tell you they just simply don't work. We use them strategically, but he doesn't fundamentally understand how trade works. It goes back to what I continue to say. I think the biggest myth perpetuated on this country is that Donald Trump understands anything about business. He's bankrupt every single one he's been into, and now he's bankrupting this country. So I appreciate you talking about this. This is a tax on working people that we've not seen in any of our lifetimes,
really
and it is going to have dramatic effect.
It's really not. This was a little power play. I mean, that's the key point of it that I keep going back to. This particular thing is a power play. This broader discussion about bringing back American industry, which, yes, I would like American industry to come back, but stitching up Nikes is not a place where I think you're going to see that industry come back. Making steel, sure, but producing other goods that the United States has the technology and the trained, skilled workers to be able to do. But stitching up Nikes, doubt. Just my point on that. And obviously it's not going to hurt because everything's already caving. So, oh yeah, whatever we're gonna do. Hang on.
I watched on the evening news last night.
Now this is again, lumber is something actually that I completely disagree with this dude over. Yeah, lumber you can produce in the United States because it's a natural resource that we have a lot of, that we absolutely should be producing in the United States. I'm not like I think that maybe I did I misexplain myself that when I said industry I meant making Chinesium shit, the shit you order from Temu. That's what I didn't mean. Steel or forestry or logging, I guess. Things that are natural resources that require processing in order to make it a finished products. Where you can do, and you can do the whole thing stateside, absolutely way better. In the United States, for example, steel and gas, natural gas, petroleum. There's jobs in the United States that can be open that are very lucrative and help the United States, but that aren't stitching up sneakers in a slave factory.
One of the other networks, and I watched the issue of lumber. Now, you see, we get so much of our lumber, our 2x4s, from Canada. Where we get it from? Canada. We get our newsprint from up there for newspapers. The fact is we get it. What are we going to do? Have more lumber made in the United States now? What is our plan now? Oh, we're not going to import wood, so we're going to make more wood? We're going to create more wood? Is that it? I don't think we're in a position...
Wait. Can you believe what this fucking lunatic just said? What are we gonna do? Make more wood? I don't know, man.
Yes.
The earth does it. It's like you do this
wood
thing.
Wood literally grows on trees.
Yeah.
It literally grows on trees.
Now, I will say it's important to remember that these things do deplete soil, and refreshing the soil with nutrients is dangerous as it can stagnate in local water sources. We need to be very careful about these kinds of things. However, you could just, maybe just buy plots of land overseas and have a lumber company go out there.
Do you think Joe Scarborough here is just like, he listened to that and his soul just kind of left his body for a minute? It's like, this motherfucker just said you can't grow trees. Where do you think lumber comes from? Looking vacant, this vacant stare.
To simply replicate the imports coming into this country with our own products. They can't always be done. And I think if wood's example of that, wood. Are we going to make more wood in this country because of our trade deal? I don't think so.
I mean, Jesus. Oh my God. But I think, as usual, for this particular move, it's theater. And here's an example of that, because here's Nancy Pelosi on, this is average MFN is most favored nation, tariffs on Chinese goods coming to the U.S. Let's just listen to her. Let's listen to what old Nance had to say about tariffs.
In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? In terms of jobs, this is the biggest and cruelest hoax of all. The China trade supports 170,000 jobs in the United States, 170,000 jobs, whereas our imports from China support 10 million jobs at least. The fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser.
Thanks, Nance. From 20-odd years ago. 30 years ago, nearly. Damn, yeah, 30 years ago. I mean, there's the argument, and it is true. Like, putting the screws to China is the whole point of all of this. Putting the rest of the world on it, I think, was just some pressure of leaving your dick on the table and going, look what I can do. I think that's why I said that I think this is theatrical. As you've seen,
there's big talk that America's trying to get the UK to drop all their ability to kind of. There's something that your old friend Johnny Jersh talked about, which was the whole you can basically go to. There used to be a thing where you could go to England, sue someone, and then they have to enforce it in the US in certain cases. I think this is to make sure everyone's willing to come to the table to negotiate, because there's probably a bunch of laws on the books that would, really fuck the US over if someone else went abroad to do bullshit. For instance, in India, you cannot sue someone or take them to court unless both parties are in India. That's why they have so many scammers, because they know that they can scam people abroad and they never have to worry about it, because that person's never going to come to India to take them to court. They're basically immune from prosecution. If Trump decided we're ending that, if some of your people defraud American and citizens, you hand them over to us. He could pull that, because the alternative is that India gets fucking gilded.
Oh, yeah, India is probably good. I'm surprised they haven't been hit harder. Obviously, China, this was about China. This was all about China. Dude McGuypants for $5 says, Bill, it's Mapleback honkies or dirty Canucks. I think those are his preferred terms for Canadian.
I'll invent new slurs for you right now.
So, as I said, Trump has pulled all of these tariffs from every country for 90 days, sans China. Now, this is what happened a couple days ago. This was
Putina,
on the 7th, but the rumors of a 90-day pause in tariffs has turned markets completely around. Stocks from -4% to a plus. Yield strongly up. We'll see if the rumors are more than that. So here, yeah, you can see that, and what this was, is again, it was a CNBC article that said that there was a inaccurately reported that there was a 90-day pause. And then immediately look, line go way back up, back where it was, this is in time, so just immediate return after this article goes out. So now he's done it and gone ahead and paused it. So this whole thing was a little show, and now it's over. For everybody but China, but look, all the other countries were already at the negotiating table over this for the most part, although I'll get to that. What will be included, it looks like, is pharmaceuticals, maybe. Trump says he will soon announce major tariffs on imported pharmaceuticals, a move that could end decades of low-cost global trade in medicines. What I want to point out about this is that this is something that has massively increased recently. So in 2024, the U.S. imported 213 billion, 168 billion pounds worth of medicines, more than 2.5 times that total a decade earlier. While short on details, look at this graph. Look at this graph. Where is it? Yeah. Here we go. You can see pharmaceutical imports to the U.S. over time. This is a national security thing. This is from 2023. But if you just look, so let's say 2015, so 10 years ago, it was 100 billion in imports. By 2023, excuse me. So it's actually 2020, it's 2013, 2014, yeah. So it doubled. It went up by 100 billion in that 10-year difference. 100 billion increase in the amount made from imported pharmaceuticals. Just interesting to keep in mind, obviously, this does not... A lot of that COVID stuff must be insane. So if you're gonna do this tactic, why not include pharmaceuticals until you can get, once everyone's at the table, though, again, it's kind of pointless to talk about it now because it's paused, which means it will be moving towards negotiation. And I imagine Trump will get what he wants, which again is basically just getting other countries to do more trade with the United States. We'll see if it works. They're clearly desperate for it. So it seems to have worked for that effect. Bringing back manufacturing, I don't think. So yeah, where was this? Oh yes, several countries are negotiating. This article was about, but it's just a general article on it, I think. And then China has retaliated, and then Trump retaliated to the retaliation. So they retaliated with an 84% levy, and then Trump has also said he's going to hike in tariffs from 34% came from Trump to 104% on Chinese goods came into force on Wednesday, and then they were increased to 125%. The 21% additional raise was based on a lack of respect China had shown, and that it would be effective immediately. And so then China has hit us with the U.S. with an 84% tariff on U.S. goods because China, as was mentioned earlier, imports a lot of American goods as well. So that'll hurt them even more economically. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that tariffs hurt trade partners. That's, part of the deal with it. So does it matter that China has put on these 84% tariffs? China, again, like I keep saying, is a paper tiger. They don't really have the power here. They're propped up because the U.S. imports so much from them.
Maria, I think it's unfortunate that the Chinese actually don't want to come and negotiate because they are the worst offenders in the international trading system. They have the most imbalanced economy in the history of the modern world. And I can tell you that this escalation is a loser for them. That they have some very smart, the economists, the academicians, technocrats within their bureaucracy, and they would be telling the leadership that we do not have the edge here. They are the surplus country, that their exports to the U.S. are 5 times our exports to China. So they can raise their tariffs, but so what?
Right. Yeah.
Maria, I think
we're not going to get affected by that the way that they are. That's just most succinct way to put it. Okay, raise tariffs. You import a lot of U.S. goods, yes, but comparatively to the export, it's irrelevant, really. Again, this is all stuff like, does it matter now? EU to impose retaliatory 25% tariffs on U.S. goods, from almonds to yachts. Oh no, yeah, what would we do without the yachts? That's pretty funny to think about, though. EU has agreed to impose retaliatory tariffs on 21 billion euros of U.S. goods.
Doesn't really matter. I mean, no country consumes like the U.S. does.
No.
I think that overall consumption per person like 4 times the rest of the developed world.
Oh, yeah, look at the stock market in Europe, too. It all dropped, but...
I think someone worked out that if you had everyone on the planet at a distinct, specific rate of lifestyle... Like if it was European standard of living, it would be like you'd be able to withstand 2 million people reliably without depletion. If you bump it up to the American standard, it's 500,000 people without depletion. That was sometime in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, Ymir Rice, for context on the China part, if you were to place the war sanctions currently on Russia now upon China, there would be famine, economic collapse within several weeks' time. That's the thing. All the debate about this was that, like, oh my god, how are we going to... I don't know how I'm going to make it through next month. Look, it's been 4 days. Look, I get that it was scary. I was scared. It was like, whoa, what the hell is this? This flat, when it first started to come out, I was like, this seems brain dead. This seems horribly not in theory, but like in practice, this seems to be horribly have been mishandled. But, and I don't think it's 4D chess, because all this was about is getting better temporary relief in foreign trade. And it's done that. So... good, I guess, with art of the deal stuff. The UK wasn't necessarily sure if it was going to join with the EU over that. Starmer was wishy-washy on it, but again, it doesn't matter now. What I don't like about a lot of the rhetoric that I'm seeing is it's really emphasizing this US versus Europe mentality, which, again, I have noticed, since some of the stuff with Vance, the country that hasn't done anything in 30 years, these stuff that really got people's hackles up, particularly in the UK. I think this is also part of that intentional, distractionary division between European, let's just be honest, white countries. You get white people fighting with each other over economics in this case, or whatever it is. In that case, with Vance, it was over something he didn't even really say. I mean, he said the thing about the country that hasn't done anything in 30 years, militaristically, but that's not incorrect. So, this horrible show of disrespect. I see a lot of this as, because the people who are, of course, most vocally angry about it, that you're seeing on social media, are other people from the Anglosphere in Europe, and further creating this perceived division between the US and Europe is, by the way, going back to something I mentioned earlier, exactly what they did 9/11. The freedom fries stuff. You're with us or you're against us. Brother war mentality shit. I don't like it. I see it happening. I see the demonization on both sides, being an American who lives on this side of the Atlantic. You know? I see it go both ways, and it's people falling for that of just hate the great Satan America. And Americans are the exact opposite of it. You know, the Europeans are so greedy and they need us so badly, and it's just creating this animus between groups of people that should not really have this kind of animus towards each other. So the question that I'll you know, wrap up here with is the what now? With particularly this is the updates, yeah. So it, man, yep, dramatically reverse course. Where did this go? 90-day pause. Where did this? Oh my god, this fucking CNBC fucking sucks. They've changed since I copied the link, and now it's gone. Whatever. Trump put a 90-day pause on it. I'll go pull up an article. Here we go. Sky News 16 minutes ago. So, oh, did he just give his reasons? Okay. Pausing higher tariffs on most countries. Trump says he's raising tariffs on China to 125%, effective immediately. But in a significant reversal, Trump has frozen all other tariffs at 10% for 90 days, leading stocks to rally. So he's keeping in place the flat 10% tax, or 10% tariff, excuse me, but getting rid of all of the more egregious ones. Let's at least, or pause for 90 days. So people were getting yippee from these places. China wants a deal. Just like this key point stuff again. I hate these kind of websites. Okay, so that's it. So that's where we're at. Is Trump paused it? China's goes up. China
market bounced back $4 trillion.
Yeah. Oh, is that true?
Yeah, $4 trillion. I said it earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my brain made it. So, yeah. It worked. It worked, and now the only one left being pressured at this moment is China, and they are. Did he cuck, or that's the question? Is did he cuck, or was this only ever about China anyway? I think it was only ever about China anyway.
Mostly, but I think it was to humble everyone else, make sure that they wouldn't come to the table to argue about.
Like you said, throwing his dick on the table and saying this is, you know, it's a show of display, or it's a show of display. It's a display of power. I think it's theatrical. It's very WWE shit, you know? I agree. But it was certainly a display of power. So whether or not I don't know if it's cucking. I think this was probably always intentional. I think that there was a power display to show, look, this is how important the United States economy is. You can't work without us. And look what happens when we put just, you know, tariffs on you. How much they freak out. So certainly a sign of power, and it's gonna go after the actual goal, which is China. Again, gonna fix the cost. It will improve the cost of goods that are imported from China. Don't think it's gonna improve. You're not gonna start seeing Nikes being manufactured in the U.S. Yeah, that's about it. All right, do you I know that we got into a little bit of an argument. Spoon, do you have anything to add?
It is very late out there. He may be.
He's an hour ahead, yeah. So it's he may have. No, because we started. Yeah, which is why we moved it back.
Yes, it's still like 1:30 where he is.
Is that late? Oh well. Okay. No, I think it's.
Oh yeah. 1:30.
Okay. Anyway, Spoon appears to have fallen asleep. I'm sorry that I got one guide. I think I finally explained my position well enough, though. I tried to, at least. Thank you guys so much for showing up and dealing with my maybe wrong opinion, but it's just my take on it. As always, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next Wednesday, hopefully at 7:30 p.m. GMT, 2:30 p.m. EST, which is what, 11 a.m. 11:30 a.m.
time zones
Pacific. Alrighty, thank you guys so much. See you next week. Cheers and bye bye.
I love you, Sean.
Okay. I didn't expect people to get that mad at me over that.